socialist, communist,
radical left influencer,
Hasan Piker,
dirtbag left,
Hasan Piker,
pro-terrorism, pro-Hamas,
Hasan Piker,
Hasan Piker,
Hasan
Piker, going on this vulgar rant, mocking wounded war vet for losing his eye fighting for our freedom.
Have you ever heard someone mention the Streisand effect and wondered what they were talking about? This phenomena is named after actress Barbara Streisand. Sometimes when you try to cover something up, you end up bringing more attention to it than if you had just let things be.
He won't condemn Hasan Piker. Remember that shit?
The assemblyman will not denounce Hasan Piker, who said,
America deserved 9/11, dude.
the assemblyman just said in his response,
Hasan Piker says America deserved 9/11.
There you go. There you have it.
My friends, we have toppled a political dynasty.
Now to the Michigan Senate race, where
El Sayed is campaigning in Michigan,
Appearing on stage at 2 Michigan campaign rallies.
He's proactively campaigning alongside Piker.
the man who says Hezbollah's flag is his favorite because it's dope.
Why would you align yourself for raging anti-Semites?
who has defended Hamas terrorists.
Calling them the lesser of two Israels compared to the government evils. Lesser of two.
That's what I find a bridge too far.
When I went up to my good friend Chat and said, hey, can you walk me through some more controversial statements of Hasan Piker? Even ChatGPT went out of its way to soften the edges of Hasan and give me context. Thanks, but no thanks, ChatGPT.
Hasan Piker is campaign poison. Placing yourself on the wrong side of a 90-10 issue is only going to make you look bad. It's going to be good for me. It's going to be good for the candidates that I work with. Turns out it was true. Abdul El Sayed at 27%. Oliver Larkin. Maylock Heroes, everybody.
Nice to meet you, Hasan.
Welcome to the broadcast.
Thank you for having me.
Oh my gosh. What's going on, man?
What's up, dude? Good to see you again.
And I really enjoyed it. Yeah.
How you been?
He's trying to get that out.
Wow.
What's going on, everybody? I hope everyone's having a fantastic evening, afternoon, pre-noon, no matter where you are in the world. I'm Hasan Piker, and this is the HasanAbi broadcast coming to you live from New Jersey, ladies and gentlemen, the motherland, the fatherland, whatever you want to call it, the greatest state of all time, the Garden State, the state known for its long highways, the turnpike, its greenery, and nothing else. The state that is also the same size as perhaps the most important state of all, Israel. Right? That's right. Israel, size of New Jersey. When people say Israel, size of New Jersey, this is the state that they're referencing. This is also ground zero for my birth, the state that I was born in. And by the way, you guys might have noticed something. Healed. I come into New Jersey, Israel, the size of New Jersey, to imply the limitations, to imply how small it is, right? And all of a sudden, back in the motherland, I'm healed. Except, this is part of the broadcast where I tell you about my personal news, and let me tell you, actually, things are not great, okay? Things are not great. I'm going to tell you all about it. This is personal news time before I get into the news, but so, also, I got my fucking fat-ass Duncan. Brother Delaney looks like a war zone. Please be very safe, man. Yeah, I know. I need to know if you're going to hit up one of your childhood sandwich shops. No, I will not be, because as always, I don't have any fucking time. All right, girl to boycott. What's the fucking boycott? Dunkin' Donuts doesn't have a boycott. Anyway, America runs on Dunkin'. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys, girls, and MBs, we're live and alive. It is 12:40 p.m. Saturday, May 30th, 2026. We're about to enter the month of June. This is, of course, what happened to Friday's VOD? What happened? I don't know. Did something happen? Yes, I did see the Kyrie clip, bro. Are you kidding me? Anyway, it's not an ad. I'm not sponsored by Dunkin' Donuts, but honestly, I would take it if they gave me a sponsorship. I got interviewed by New York Times at the HAMAWY rally today. Did my best to give you credit for positive political changes. Hell yeah, chatter. All right, so where was I? Yeah, personal news wise, the vid got removed while I was watching it last night. Maybe it's the gay sex thing that one chatter sent, and then they I don't know, maybe they quarantined the VOD or something. Jubilee, could be Jubilee. In any case, folks, personal news wise, I ended the broadcast last night. And quickly got to the airport, flew out, cracked the Z-Quil on the flight, passed out on the flight, but only it was like a 4 hour and 30-minute flight, so I didn't get a lot of sleep. Woke up, got to the hotel, passed out, woke up again, still had not gotten enough sleep, cracked energy drinks, cracked a bunch of coffee, got my shit cracked, and did the HAMAWY rally earlier in the morning. It was at like 11 a.m. So my time is we're talking 8 a.m. Los Angeles time, right? What is this? Oh, it must have been Jubilee because the other channels that post VODs had to run overlays over it. Wow, that's crazy. Bros on the East Coast for one day already hitting pause. Yeah, bro, I got my shit cracked. Pause. So did you hear the East Coast boom like an hour ago? No. But yeah, I did the I did the rally. I got in a car, came to the second hotel. I'm live streaming from the second hotel. I will be going to the Delaney. I'll be going to the Delaney ice facility in a little bit. Brother, your brain is mush right now? Yes, it is mush. And I'll admit it, like I felt like my rallying speech wasn't as good as it normally is for that reason. I thought it was a bad performance from your boy. I'll say it. I'll say it like it is. And I feel really bad about it, but it's just I'm so freaking tired, man. Anyway, I'm in New Jersey. Trump hates JD Vance, Delaney facility ice protests, new Plattner controversy. Trump hates JD Vance, Delaney facility ice protests, Z endorses DSA, Epstein's Fury Day 92, no deal, HAMAWY rally. The Proud Boys were there earlier. Yeah, I heard. Yeah, well, they're agreed. I was there. Still a great speech. Take tomorrow off. I mean, I probably will be I'm taking tomorrow off because I'm traveling, so I'm going to be taking tomorrow off anyway. So it's not technically a day off because it'll be a travel day. But yeah, go take a power nap before Delaney. Okay, I'll just go to sleep right now. Good call, chatter. Get in now. Twitch.tv/HasanAbi. Are you gonna get a Taylor ham, egg, and cheese? No, I'm gonna get a pork roll, egg, and cheese, and I'm not even gonna get that because I don't have time for anything. It's actually pretty wild. I genuinely just don't have time for shit. It sucks. If Kyrie asks tomorrow, are you gonna cancel all your plans? Yes. Sleep stream, let's fucking go. Yeah. Sleep stream now, a power nap. Okay, guys, we're not doing any of that. Okay, what's wrong with you? It's not happening. Okay, calm down. I already blasted off. The Jube might have actually DMCA'd everything. Wait, did it not? What the hell? Did it not? Did I not blast off? Oh, I did. Okay, great. Which is strange because the Jube used to let me react to their stuff, but maybe they don't any longer. Thank you to Macias for the playlist, bro. Seriously, thank you for what you do. You know, I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I feel like such a chud ass loser, bro. I'm gonna be honest. I felt like underwhelming today. My performance has been underwhelming. Everything's been dog shit. Every hotel we checked into, we ran into issues. You know, everything is just like going poorly. So you're thanking me, but I don't feel too great about my performance so far. Finally, Mamdani took an L. Arsenal losing the Champions League final. I honestly thought that man was incapable of losing anything. Yeah. But yeah, it was fine. It was great overall. Fun times. Okay, I'm back. Wow, that was so sick. That was so funny. I was just talking about how everything is going poorly. First of all, I just want to get started by saying I apologize for saying that New Jersey is a state that is the size of Israel. No other state is like Israel. Am Israel Chai, Am Israel Chai, Am Israel Chai. That's number one. Number two. It's very funny that I was just talking about how everything is going poorly and I feel like a chud ass loser. And then there was an electricity surge and then the internet went out. New Jersey is a tiny state. it's not the size of Israel. Okay? It's not. Israel is its own size. Hasan, you are autistic and therefore in danger of autistic burnout. I'm serious. This is real. You must pace yourself and rest. Please, if you want to reach your long-term goals, it has to be sustainable. Thanks. Greetings from the Netherlands, Hasan. Been following you for a while. I'm interested in your world politics, especially USA politics, the revelations you guys had since the presidency of Trump. Keep on doing what you do to give a mighty pushback against the immense corruption and the inequality that's going on. You got it. Game 7 tonight. Pray for our Lord and Savior, Wembayama. Oh, I'm praying, all right. Is Marsh with you? Send him to Asbury Park. I'll buying drinks. Okay, I'm good. Asbury Park is very nice now, right? Back in the day, when I used to live in New Jersey, Asbury Park was like, oh, there's crack needles or there's heroin needles everywhere. It's like terrible. And now it's supposed to be like gay and nice, right? God, I'm so old. I'm an old man. Anyway, but where was I? But at least your face is healed and the suit is on? Yes. Yeah, that's Asbury Park was Fentbert territory. Some good things took place while I was offline. I'm not going to watch my speech. We already filmed it. We'll put it out and then we'll watch it when I put it out. But it's the same speech you've heard before with some differences. But yeah, as far as personal news goes, that's it. I'm here. We're live. We're alive. We've blasted off. Let the people know. And yeah, like I said, after I do my regular news coverage, I'm going to go to Delaney. This is what the opposition is doing. New Jersey 12 candidates Sue Altman is in prison with former Senator and Knicks star Bill Bradley. We have the opportunity here in New Jersey to show the way forward, she said. Yeah, our shit was our rally was a little bit crazier than that. I'm not gonna lie. It's like 11 in the morning too, and it was a packed room, 500, 600 people.
I'm honored to be here in front of all of you wonderful people to hopefully make the necessary changes that we want to see here in Congress by supporting Dr. Adam HAMAWY.
Crowd size? Yeah.
I'm honored to be here with all of you wonderful people.
I've never seen him do something and not be actively streaming it, lol. I mean, yeah, I do things while I'm not streaming. Like I do things offline as well. This was one of those things.
Hopefully make the necessary changes that we want to see here in Congress by supporting Dr. Adam HAMAWY.
Electric. It was electric. Like gaming, Haas mods. Okay, maybe. Not really, but okay. Mr. Piker, what happened to yesterday's stream bot? I deleted it on purpose for you in particular. I didn't even know. I don't know. I don't know why I got lasered. Maybe it was Jubilee. Okay? I don't know. Wake up, Kyrie, praise you. Should be lit as fuck now. I know. So, the rally was great. Chris Rabb was there. Hung out with him. Hung out with the dude that used to work in the State Department under the Biden administration who quit, if you remember, and went on Christian Amanpour's broadcast. Talked to him. He's like a big advocate for Palestinians now. Bro, stop making the East Coast the coolest place in the country. We need to make the West Coast better. I mean, dude, I'm going to work on it. That's my next... Well, I'm going to work my way in the same way that the original settlers did, right? First, you go northeast. You go East Coast first. You know, New York, Philadelphia, New Jersey, and the like. And then you start moving slowly to the south, okay? And then, slowly but surely, you go to the Midwest and you start expanding the operation. So that's my goal, is east to west. California being the cherry on the top. California being the icing and the cherry. Why did I know you were going to make this joke? What the fuck? Yeah. How does the rotisserie chicken survive without you? Kaya? Fairly well. Yeah, we're doing manifest, instead of manifest destiny, we're manifesting socialism. Okay? Which is the opposite of manifest destiny. There's a new Fox news story on your new for me. Scratch the surface and you quickly discover the origin story of the humanitarian aid combo to Cuba has its roots in Vermont with Bernie Sanders and ties in Cuba to the Fidel Castro family. Yeah, this is now they're coming after David Adler. Okay, they're cooking David Adler, my goat from Progressive International. Now that's the Adler's organization, Progressive International Council, Raul Castro's daughter, Maria de Castro Espin, on its advisory council. Federal subpoenas target Piker and Co. Pinks Medea Benjamin for travel, communications, and financial records tied to possible contacts to Cuban government entities. The convoy brought an estimated 650 delegates from 33 countries to Havana in March. Twitch streamer Hasan Piker called Progressive International Coordinator David Adler his comrade on livestream, the same organizer who sat in the VIP seat beside Cuba's president during the convoy trip, now under federal investigation for possible sanctions violations. They're doing this thing where they're like slow rolling. They're doing this thing where they are slow rolling information that is readily available and public, and totally legal, but they're hitting a but it's communist, so therefore bad. You know, that's what they're doing. They literally are just like describing, you know, regular organizing and then going, but this is communist style organizing. Where they use terms like comrade. Shouldn't you be spooked by that? Isn't that scary? Anyway, yeah, it's a very funny way to frame stuff. I mean, a lot of people do this, obviously, famously. Yeah, and they're cooking. What the fuck is this? They're cooking our boy David. How a Rhodes Scholar with ties to Cuba's president organized a convoy that brought Hasan Piker to Havana. There he is, David in all his glory. Real stud. They just straight up are like, no, we're the bad guys. This is the bad guy brigade. It's very funny. They're like, we're the bad guys. You're supposed to be bad. Like, we as the defenders of the government are the bad guys, undisputed bad guys. And if you do good guy things, like deliver humanitarian aid to a country that the bad guys are destroying, then you're bad. It's awesome. It's awesome. It's like this is the whole shtick. Apparently you got to mention in this New York Times article too. Wait, what the hell? I thought I was already, do I not have a New York Times? I usually, what the heck? Did I get signed out of my New York Times subscription? That's crazy. All right, well, we need a paywall remover now for New York Times as well. I got a shout out in this article. Let's go. Look at your $10 million smile from the HAMAWY event. Face of a guy knows he's about to help elect another unbought progressive who wants money for healthcare and not wars. God damn, I was cheesing, bro. I was freaking cheesing. Rhodes had a podcast with Mark Blythe talking about how badly American capitalism is shitting the bed. I don't know what you're talking about. Wait, New York Times picked up the story. It started as Hasbro slop. Okay. Please enable JS and disable any app blocker. What the fuck is going on, man? Come on, just work, man. Just work. God damn it. Just work. Why can't anything work ever? Everything is broken. What is happening? Okay. A candidate's past ties to a militant cleric are resurfacing in a New Jersey House race. Yeah, so this is nasty. Okay, so the New York Times is basically working in tandem by even covering this with this framing. Is doing a very nasty thing. Okay, so we talked about this briefly, but this is like the last minute hit piece. That came from Jewish Insider that basically was like, oh, Dr. Adam HaMawi, he did humanitarian work all around the world, including in Bosnia, and one of the organizations, I guess, had ties to the blind Sheikh Omar Abdul Rahman. And it's so ridiculous to say this about like a decorated army combat medic who literally saved Tammy Duckworth's life. You know what I mean? Like, Dr. Adam HaMawi has worked in combat zones, both as an army combat medic and also as a doctor, like separately from that. He's done aid missions in Bosnia and also Gaza, specifically in Gaza twice. And Jewish Insider is trying to turn him into a terrorist. Yeah, and this was their big scoop. Big scoop, Jewish Insider via Will Brederman. Leading New Jersey Dem congressional candidate Adam HaMawi volunteered with Al-Qaeda-tied group in Bosnia. HaMawi worked with Benevolence International Foundation, later shuttered as an Al-Qaeda front. Yeah, for two things that are really stupid here, okay? Two things that are really stupid here. Number one, America in that conflict, in that genocide, was on the side of the Muslims. Just a little reductive. To explain it as such, but like the Muslims were the ones being slaughtered, so I don't even understand how this could ever be a fucking story, but they're still trying it regardless, where they're like, hey, This guy who was a first responder at 9/11. This guy who was in Bosnia, like trying to sew kids back together, and in Gaza doing the same, who also literally saved Tammy Duckworth's life, cherished, celebrated combat medic. This doctor is actually a bad guy. He's Muslim, and therefore, Al-Qaeda, maybe? Does that mean Bill Clinton has ties to Al-Qaeda? Yes, that's what that means. But, so Jewish Insider doing this article is one thing, okay? Jewish Insider doing this article is one thing. But the New York Times posting it like this is nasty, okay? Adam HaMaWY, a plastic surgeon, a U.S. Army veteran whose parents emigrated from Egypt when he was 7 months old, is running for Congress as a healer of sorts. He's traveled on humanitarian missions in conflict zones, including Gaza. And he's put the issue of healthcare at the center of his campaign for New Jersey's 12th congressional district, saying that money spent on war should be instead used for universal Medicare coverage. And they hate that. Okay? People hate that. When you say, hey, we shouldn't be spending money on bombs, we should be spending money on our healthcare, people go, what are you, a fucking anti-Semite? What are you, Adolf Hitler? Are you kidding me? And you're like, what? No, I just want healthcare for people in the richest country on the planet. I think this is doable. And they go, wow, you are literally the reincarnation of Adolf Hitler. You're worse than Adolf Hitler, actually. Adolf Hitler would be shocked at your deep resentment towards Jewish people. You should be imprisoned. Anyway, Adam responds, I go to disaster areas, and that's where I'm needed now. Dr. HaMaWY said in an interview referring to Capitol Hill, he has emerged as a frontrunner in the extraordinarily crowded race to fill the seat being vacated by retiring Representative Bonnie Watson-Coleman. At one point, 17 Democrats were in the mix. The field has since dwindled to a mere dozen, including a well-known former leader of the state's Working Families Alliance, a state assemblywoman, 2 mayors, a patent lawyer, the owner of a chain of fitness studios, and a Princeton University neuroscience with expertise in gerrymandering. The winner of Tuesday's election will be heavily favored to win in November. Dr. HaMaWY has led the race for campaign cash and has landed endorsements from such left-wing luminaries as Senator Bernie Sanders of Vermont and Hasan Piker of the Internet. Hasan Piker of the Internet, who appeared with them on Saturday for a Get Out the Vote rally in Trenton. A newly formed pro-Palestine political action committee, American Priorities, has spent more than $1.5 million on ads that highlight Dr. HaMaWY's work as a surgeon, a figure that dwarfs the campaign budgets of every other candidate. His critics have been trying with growing urgency to highlight an earlier part of Dr. HaMaWY's history, a gap year the future surgeon spent between graduating from Rutgers University, New Brunswick in 1991 and entering the university's medical school the next year. It was then that Dr. HaMaWY began spending time with Sheikh Omar Abdul Rahman, a blind militant Islamist who lived and preached in New Jersey. 4 years later, Mr. Abdul Rahman would be tried and convicted of inspiring the violence that contributed to the 1993 World Trade Center bombing. He died in 2017 while serving a life sentence. During Mr. Abdul Rahman's trial in 1995, Dr. HaMaWY, then 26, was called as a defensive witness by the Sheikh's lawyers as they tried to undermine the federal government's star witness, Ahmad Salam, who was paid $1 million by federal officials while working as an informant and also admitted to lying under oath. Mr. Salam had testified during that road trip to Detroit the Sheikh had encouraged him to kill former President of Egypt, Hosni Mubarak. Prosecutors had also charged Mr. Abdul Rahman with being at the center of blah, blah, blah. It's all this shit about the fucking Black Sheik, right? Dr. HaMaWY, who traveled in a van with the 2 men, testified that he did not recall hearing Mr. Abdul Rahman say that to Mr. Salem. In the course of his testimony, he also told jurors that he helped the blind cleric translate a fax from Egypt in 1993, spent time in his apartment, and listened to him speak at area mosques. Dr. HaMaWY, who is now 56, was never accused of wrongdoing, except we're going to imply that he is. Okay? Do you see what this is? It's like he wasn't actually accused of any wrongdoing, and he has an incredible history. Okay? Literally 9/11 first responder. Okay? Went to Bosnia, went to Gaza. Like, and would you look at that, folks? Actually, this guy, he's bad. I'll have you know, this guy that you think is good, well, what if he was bad, actually? Okay? You might have thought that this guy who saved the life of Tammy Duckworth, okay, as an army combat medic, what if you were to assume he's a bad guy instead? I'll have you know he is Muslim, just so you understand. He is very Muslim. He's very Muslim style. Okay? Dr. HaMaWY, who's 56, was never accused of wrongdoing and went on to serve with distinction as an Army combat surgeon during the Iraq War, where he helped save the life of U.S. Senator Tammy Duckworth of Illinois, a Democrat who has also endorsed him. On September 11, 2001, like his background sounds insane, okay? he literally is like Captain America. But the problem is, Captain America is not supposed to be a brown Muslim guy. Okay? That's the problem. He's literally there. Anytime there is disaster taking place, he's there with his hands trying to heal people. And these guys still find a fucking way. Like, when you're a Muslim American, when you are a Muslim American, it doesn't even fucking matter. Like, there is no comparison with his background. If he was a white guy, they would be like, when do we make him president? Okay? Can you imagine? Instead of Adam HaMAWY, his name was, I don't know, Adam Handsome. Okay? And he's a white guy from Kentucky with this fucking background. Okay? And he was related to some church group or something, right? When he was like 26 years old. And the church group was involved in something else, right? Like, the church group was involved in like nefarious dealings or whatever, right? And were prosecuted by the government. That's also ridiculous. Stuff rarely ever happens. But then he went on to join the fucking army as a combat surgeon during the Iraq War, saved the life of a senator, was there at ground zero on 9/11 as a first responder, and then went to Gaza. Like, it's just not even a question. People will be like, dude, I know the Gaza stuff is the main reason why these guys are so aggressive, right? Because if he was doing all that and he was pro-Israel, these articles would not be getting written about him. But I just want you to imagine, what an attempt of this sort looks like when the person that we're talking about is white. Anyway, let's continue. On September 11, 2001, he and other residents in New York Presbyterian went to Ground Zero to treat those injured in the second terror attack on the World Trade Center. Andrew C. McCarthy, the lead prosecutor of Mr. Abdurrahman's trial, and Michael B. Mukasey, the federal judge who oversaw the case and later served as President George W. Bush's attorney general, published essays earlier this month reminding readers of Dr. HaMAWY's link to the infamous cleric Mr. McCarthy. Writing for the National Review referred to Mr. HaMAWY as a sympathizer. Mr. Mukasey described Dr. HaMAWY as more than a casual traveling companion of the Sheikh. Dr. HaMAWY said his life's work disproves the guilt by association innuendo. I've spent my life really saving lives rather than taking them, he said, while campaigning in Trenton the day the essays were published. I'm against all war and all violence, he said. An aide said Dr. HaMAWY had no contact with Mr. Abdurrahman after his arrest. Dr. HaMAWY has distanced himself from the Sheikh on the campaign trail, saying, I condemn his violent rhetoric and actions. When pressed on what had motivated him to travel Mr. Abdurrahman as a younger man, Dr. HaMAWY downplayed the cleric's reputation for fiery rhetoric, calling him a blind old man who was dependent on volunteers from the Muslim community to care for him. He wasn't preaching death and destruction all the time, Dr. HaMAWY added. He had certain views that he spoke in certain forms, but that's not what he did every single day. On the witness stand, however, Dr. HaMAWY made clear he understood that the Sheikh saw Israel and the United States as enemies of Islam. When asked if he recalled the cleric stating that Muslims had to do jihad against the enemies of Islam, he said he did. Of course, that's what he always talked about, Dr. HaMAWY testified. He talked about jihad. 3 decades later, Dr. HaMAWY does not shy away from criticizing Israel and the U.S. military aid. Oh, he's doing Islamic-style infiltration. Thank you, New York Times. Again, isn't this article actually positive? Fuck no. Are you not? Dog. This is the New York Times in the least subtle way possible saying, Dr. Adam HaMAWY, do not look at his incredible reputation as a lifesaver, okay? A guy who threw his body on the line his entire life. Do not look at that. Look at the fact that he's criticizing Israel and America Islamically. He is, in some ways, following through on the promise of the blind sheik. That's basically what they're fucking saying. I mean, they also say positive things about him. No, my friend. They're not saying positive things about him. They're just having to, as the paper of record, accurately reflect on his background in an article that is written literally to accuse him of doing 9/11 pretty much. Instead of, being a person who went into the rubble to fucking be a first responder and save people's lives during 9/11. That other stuff is just an admission of the truth, and you kind of have to do that. But you do that to downplay all of his achievements and all of his humanitarian aid work by associating it with this Islamic-style jihadist patina. It's one of the grossest things I have ever seen. Oh, my God. We are not supposed to be selling weapons, any kind of weapons, to any country that's breaking international humanitarian law that is committing a genocide or atrocities, he told Mr. Piker, a leftist streamer who's been criticized by some Democrats in an April interview. It's like giving a bully body armor to go bully people some more, Dr. HaMAWY said, of U.S. support for Israel's defensive weapons. We need to be able to have them feel the effects of war, and then they'll stop, and they'll actually have a conversation. Adrian Mapp, the mayor of Plainfield, is also running for the 12th district seat, and has sought to draw a connection between Dr. Hamawi's positions on Israel and his past association with Mr. Abdul Rahman. The association with the blind sheik was very telling, and it speaks to the character of an individual who is associated with an unsavory character, Mr. Mapp said. We ought to ask the question about the affiliation and what it says about the American people about a person who seeks to be a representative of Congress in the United States of America. Mr. Mapp noted that he does not blame Dr. Hamawi for his pro-Palestine stance. The Palestinian people need to be treated in a more humane fashion, he said. But he said he stood by his statement in Insider New Jersey that Dr. Hamawi's views were those of a radical extremist. Yeah, Dr. Hamawi's views are those of a radical extremist, folks. Why are they of those of a radical extremist, mind you? Because he has the overwhelming majority position on Israel, that Israel is committing a genocide. He has the overwhelming position on Israel that we have to put an end to said genocide. Unbelievable work, dude. Yeah, his positions are that of a radical is crazy. Yeah, here's also some additional information on this. It was only a matter of time before the sensible center-right would start attacking people for caring about the Bosnian genocide. Beyond the fact that the Benevolence International Foundation got outed only in 1995 as being an al-Qaeda front group, the Clinton White House actually praised the Benevolence International Foundation's work in 1994, the same year Hamawi interned with them in Sarajevo. Hamawi literally treated 9/11 first responders. You can only think he's an al-Qaeda sleeper agent. Hilarious to imagine if you know anything about the current status of al-Qaeda. If you just hate Muslims, which notably Jesse does. Yeah, Jesse from Manhattan Institute, one of my main ops, as you guys know, says the people who are up in arms over genocide Josh Shapiro doing mandatory community service at an Israeli army base involving no military activity while volunteering on a kibbutz farm and a fishery in high school are now very upset over the suggestion that another Democratic politician who traveled abroad with an Islamist jihadist militant who spent life in prison for terrorism and seditious conspiracy to work for an al-Qaeda front might actually be an actual terrorist. Dude, I'm sorry. You have to literally be the most Islamophobic person on the fucking planet. I don't even think the average American would look at this association and be like, yeah, no, this guy is bad news. Again, all you need to do is Tammy Duckworth. All you need to do is point to literally 9/11 and be like, oh, really? So you think this guy is an al-Qaeda militant? The guy who fucking, who had no care or consideration for his own life, okay? Who treated 9/11 first responders, okay? The guy who, again, as an army combat medic, saved the lives of many in the military, and most famously, Tammy fucking Duckworth. Like, that's insane. Also, Josh Shapiro straight up worked for the Israeli embassy. That's the reason why people ask him if he ever did espionage for a foreign country. So, don't downplay that either, big dog. Yeah, he was playing the long game, dude. He was gonna fucking install the Islamic Caliphate, playing the motherfucking wrong game. Long game, sorry, not wrong game, for 40 plus years. It's just so ridiculous. It's nasty business. This kind of smearing is just nasty business, dude. The times after you in the UK, brother, saying your visa should be revoked. I know. God forbid you have the majority position on Israel, okay? God forbid. You can't do that. Will ruin your fucking life. I find his statements, quite frankly, to be inflammatory to accuse the Jewish state of Israel of a genocide, the mayor said. Yeah, that's not a radical extremist position, you fucking idiot. That's the overwhelming majority position, you fucking idiot. Oh, God, these people are so stupid. Oh, my God. Vincent Vertuccio, a spokesman for Dr. Hamawi, called it disappointing that a Democratic opponent would stoop to echoing right-wing MAGA smears. Most of Dr. Hamawi's opponents have left his past alone, but 2 of the 10 other Democratic candidates, Chanel Robinson and Brad Cohen, also told the Jewish Insider that his association with Mr. Abdul Rahman raised questions in an article that was published on Friday. As a fellow veteran, I truly appreciate Adam's service to his country, and I know that it speaks to his patriotism, Ms. Robinson, a Somerset County commissioner, told the publication, but the voters will judge us on our entire adult lives, the choices we have made, and the people we associate with, regardless of whether it was 30 days ago or 30 years ago. The whole matter is of concern, Mr. Cohen, a gynecologist and a mayor of East Brunswick, said in an interview. It's an association with a terrorist. Dr. Hamawi suggests that any criticism of his trial testimony was linked to Islamophobia. As a Muslim, they're always going to find something to attack, he said. I'm used to this all my life. How Dr. Hamawi fares in Tuesday's primary election might serve as the latest gauge of what kinds of rhetoric resonates with Democratic voters in New Jersey when it comes to Israel. Earlier this year, in a race for governor, Mickey Sherrill's old seat in the neighboring 11th district, Analilia Mejia was the only candidate in the contest that called the war in Gaza a genocide. She won her February primary against Tom Malinowski, a fellow Democrat who had been the target of negative advertising by a pro-Israel group after refusing to rule out placing conditions on U.S. military aid to that country, and then beat a Republican opponent in a landslide. Dr. HaMAWY's showing on Tuesday might also shed light on whether a figure such as Mr. Abdulrahman, whose trial happened before some voters were alive, still looms in the minds of New Jersey Democrats in 2026. The sheik appeared to be far from the minds of the voters as Dr. HaMAWY campaigned earlier this month in Trenton and a Princeton University forum sponsored by Young Democratic Socialists of America. Ricky Sanford, a retired Metropolitan Transportation Authority bus driver, had never met Dr. HaMAWY before the candidate knocked on the door of his Trenton brownstone. He said he was mainly concerned about the cost of living candidates and candidates' willingness to take on President Trump. He don't mind going toe-to-toe against Mr. Trump, Mr. Sanford said. I like that part. Yep. Voters are like, I don't give a shit about some fucking blind sheik, dude. What are you talking about? You're talking to a decorated combat medic, dude. Get the fuck out of here. Seriously, what are we talking about? It's so crazy how, like, it's, god damn it. This is what I mean when I say, like, if you're Muslim, you just, oh, fuck. Not to do any goddamn id poll here, but it is genuinely insane to watch this kind of shit unfold, okay? If you're Muslim, and on top of that, God forbid you got to take on Israel, that the majority also believes, the majority also understands is the truth because it is the truth. What the fuck? You've been blocked from New York Times because we suspect that you're a robot. Why am I a robot? I'm not a robot. Are there any comments on that article? I can't see. Yeah. Exposed. I am a robot. The sheik appeared to be on the minds. What is this? People want something different, Miss Walpin, 73, said of the Democratic Party outside of Dr. HaMAWY's campaign office in Trenton. They want fierceness in the fight. Louise Walpin, a Democrat, is Jewish and politically active. She lives in South Brunswick, New Jersey, and said she'd been a supporter of Dr. HaMAWY since hearing him speak at a forum months ago and does not interpret his criticism of Israel to be anti-Semitic. Anyway, fantastic stuff overall. I don't think it's going to work. But it is really, really frustrating to see people still try to do this shit because it's disheartening, okay? It is, like, it's 2026, man, and if you can do this to a guy like Adam HaMAWY, I mean, you can do this to any fucking Muslim, right? They tried to do this with Zoran, too. It's just, it sucks. Thank you for sharing a gift link with the Grand Plattner one. Yeah, we got Grand Plattner, who apparently is a dog, and we'll talk about that too. Yeah, they're pulling the Cuomo move against Zoran, connecting him to the sheik. Yeah, and me, which is, again, the Zoran method, which failed, by the way. Yeah, Will Brederman is the one who was, like, blasting this, but what DropSite doesn't seem to understand is that the federal evidence proffer doesn't present this as a fact. It's a description of how Benevolence International Foundation represented its own operations as a part of deception. This administration below is even more scandalous from Jewish Insider. The reporter of the psychotic article now acknowledges he knew about the government document that described 1994 visit by a U.S. envoy under President Bill Clinton to a BIF office in Sudan who praised BIF in its efforts to provide humanitarian relief. Yet he left that out. Linking to a giant court document doesn't count, so that he could leave the impression that Adam HaMAWY is somehow linked to Al-Qaeda. To have that information in your possession, but not include it in the article, is deliberate and malicious. He left it out for one obvious reason, because any reader would conclude, oh, if a White House envoy did not know this organization was used then, or would be used later as a front for Al-Qaeda, then of course a doctor who volunteered fresh out of medical school for a few weeks obviously would not know either. And then you have no story. Including this exculpatory information undercuts the entire piece, which is why it deserves not just an update, but a retraction. There could have been an interesting article to write about this volunteer trip and this organization that a decade later was exposed as a front. But what Jewish Insider wanted was to smear Army veteran and combat sergeant as a terrorist. Really foul. Yeah, AIPAC is also aggressively swinging at Ryan Grimm and DropSite, which has been very funny. Part of an orchestrated campaign to single out and demonize individual pro-Israel Americans for supporting candidates of their choice. A level of scrutiny not applied to any other group of citizens, and is tolerated and celebrated by leaders who claim to want a big tent. Okay? This is directly about DropSite. They're responding to David Weigel talking about DropSite and Lever and Zeteo and the like. Okay? AIPAC complaining of a level of scrutiny not applied to any other group of citizens. Let's be precise. No other interest group, not crypto, not AI, not big oil, etc., hides its money in shell packs. They all spend through packs that are transparently linked to their interest group. AIPAC and its major donors are alone in the opposite practice. So that is why reporters have to investigate it so that voters can know who they are backing. The other option would be to just be honest and transparent from the jump. Why not do that? Because remember, crypto packs, AI pack, or like different organizations, different political action committees will just straight up say this is sponsored by, insert crypto pack, right? AIPAC doesn't do that because AIPAC knows that it has to actually hide under shell corporations and, create colorful new names like elect progressive women in Chicago. That's literally one of the subsidiaries that they've utilized in the Illinois races, right? According to AIPAC, being pro-Israel is good policy and good politics. Their offshoot DMFI, Democratic Majority for Israel, even claims there is a Democratic majority for Israel. If that's true, spend money openly, endorse candidates openly, and let voters decide. If you refuse to do that, we will keep following the money and letting people know of who you support. If it's true that being pro-Israel is good politics, we're doing you a favor. To which AIPAC replied with, are we unique or are you just uniquely obsessed with us? At Grok, compare how many stories/posts Ryan Grimm has written about AIPAC versus stories of how far-left groups like Justice Democrats and Working Families Party rely on billionaires, dark money transfers, and contributions from C4s. Justice Democrats and Working Families Party put their names on their ads and disclose their donors. They don't leave much room for investigation. If you do the same, I'll stop chasing your shell packs. AIPAC said, we're going to grok it. AIPAC said, I'm a numbers guy. I'm a numbers guy. I'm going to chat GPT it. I'm going to grok it. The entire point of contention here is not that AIPAC funds a lot of races. Everybody knows that, okay? The point of contention here that requires additional journalism and additional investigation is the fact that AIPAC uses shell groups that don't have Israel anywhere in its name, okay? That's the point. They use shell groups to hide in this completely non-transparent manner. They use shell groups to fucking hide what the advocacy organization actually is seeking to do. Your forehead looks extra big today, Low Kirk. Oh no, don't be like that, big dog. Also, here's another very funny moment. Strong statement from the Jewish Democratic Council of America CEO Haley Soifer. We will not endorse a Democrat unless they support Israel's right to exist as a Jewish and democratic state and support Israel's security and right to self-defense. But if I were to say, wow, that's a weird fucking standard to place about a foreign country as an American organization comprised of American Jews whose political expression is supposed to be related to things that American Jews care about as Americans, right? That's a strange thing you're doing. It almost feels like your loyalty lies elsewhere. Then I'm the bad guy. I'm doing dual loyalty tropes. Like, what the fuck do you mean? This is literally you saying like, nope, that's my loyalty. My loyalty is to the foreign state of Israel. And not just like loyalty to the foreign state of Israel, but my loyalty is to the foreign state of Israel being an ethno-state. Okay? That is insane. There is no equivalence to this madness in American politics. What is this? Have you addressed Plattner's recent infidelity? As a woman, it makes me very uncomfortable. He may be the best available option, but that behavior needs to be called out. Okay. Yes. For those of you who are wondering, Plattner's Text with Women Concerned campaign as Senate took off. The wife of Graham Plattner, who is still Graham Plattner's wife, by the way, said the Democratic candidate in Maine told the campaign he had sent sexual messages to other women. Okay? The story is that when Graham Plattner first launched his campaign, and this happened suspiciously with Abdullah as well, not the controversy, of course, but the fact that some staffers were in his campaign and did not actually have any interest in working for his campaign whatsoever, and had every interest of basically leaking all of the opposition research to pro-Israel Hasbara papers. Remember, this is exactly what happened with Dr. Abdullah Sayed as well. So one of his former security guys literally fucking leaked information to right-wing newspapers of private campaign talks that took place. Very strange. Very strange. Very strange how this keeps happening. Now, of course, the article is not going to change the polls, in my opinion. That's really funny that people think this is going to do it. One more, just one more. But yeah, Graham Plattner's insurgent bid for Senate in Maine was gathering steam last summer when his campaign was confronted with some potentially explosive information. Mr. Plattner's wife, Amy Gertner, told the senior campaign aide that he had been exchanging sexual messages with multiple other women. It was the kind of revelation with the potential to damage the political newcomer, just as his campaign to unseat Senator Susan Collins, a Republican, was beginning to resonate with voters, especially in a state where female voters make up a large share of the electorate. Mr. Plattner's exchanges with women were confirmed by current and former campaign officials who gave different accounts of some of the details. Mr. Gertner said the couple who had married in November 2023, according to the town clerk of Sullivan, Maine, was working through his indiscretions in marriage counseling. Okay, great. Seems like they've made up. How does this not happen to anybody else, dude? Are these candidates uniquely bad, you think? Or are they uniquely good on certain issues that are unfortunately unfortunately for the advocacy organizations that care about this, very popular amongst the base, but very unpopular in the Hill, very unpopular amongst the consultant class, very unpopular for the media. Have you noticed? You are not locked in? What do you mean? I am locked in. Take a day off. Well, it did happen to Eric Swalwell. This is not a comparison between what Eric Swalwell was doing and what Graham Plattner was doing. What the fuck are you talking about? These are not salacious text messages with women that he had any sort of significant power over. What are you talking about? That's not a comparison at all. Eric Swalwell was not forced to resign because he was a dog. Okay? He was forced to resign because he sexually assaulted a staffer, allegedly. He was forced to resign because he was regularly exchanging salacious text messages, not with random women, consenting adults, but instead with fucking staffers whom he had hired. If you cannot see the difference there, I don't know what to tell you. Yeah, and that's before we even talk about the fact that we have a sitting president that, is a Jeffrey Epstein affiliate, and also not only was found to be guilty of sexually assaulting E. Jean Carroll, but is now currently utilizing or weaponizing the Department of Justice to actually punish the victim instead of paying out the tens of millions of dollars in trial awards that he is supposed to fucking pay. Plattner strategist Morris Katz says, it's no one's fucking business what happened in Graham and Amy's marriage before he was ever a candidate for office. There should be no place in our politics for incompetent, opportunistic operatives who violate privacy, betray trust, and prioritize vengeance over decency. Go eat shit, Morris. Every story about this degenerate asshole claims to pass a moral. Dude, I need you guys to Google something, okay? I need you to do something. I need you to do something for me. It's the same for all of my naysayers. Whenever someone comes out and says, wow, this person is actually an immoral ape, okay? Just key search Gaza, Israel, and Palestine, okay? Just on their profile, go and search the words Gaza, Israel, and Palestine, and you will find something very interesting. He was found liable, not guilty, King. It was a civil case. I'm sorry. Yes, you're right. I apologize. Did I say guilty? I hope you don't spend the entire stream on this. Let's move on. It's so interesting how much people yell about all of these other things. They're like, oh, this person's morality is called into question. I don't know if I can vote for this guy. Okay? Key search, genocide, Israel, Palestine, and Gaza. Four words. 4 words. Okay? 4 fucking words will reveal something very interesting to you. It's not that they give a shit about this, or maybe some of them do, right? Maybe some of them actually do care. Maybe some of them find this to be too offensive, a bridge too far. But that's not the main motivation here, okay? That's not the main motivation here. The main motivation is that Graham Plattner is an anti-Zionist. That's it. He is against what Israel is doing, okay? That's the reason why they grab onto anything and everything they can. Oh, wow. Ohio Rob, the guy who we were just looking at. Like, hold on. Ohio Rob, right? He says, go eat shit, Morris. Every story about this degenerate asshole who claims to pass the moral clarity about everything will come out. I just downloaded that fucking Kick app and paid $2.99 to verify for myself. Yep, here's Plattner and his terrible morals. Okay? You could also think of it as only those who reject eliminationist policies towards Israel, like denying its right to exist as a Jewish state, possess the moral clarity, historical understanding, and commitment to democracy to make it more effective member of Congress. When was Yitzhak Rabin the prime minister of Israel? That's not what it shows. It shows destruction of tunnel system used to carry out terrorist attacks against civilians in northern Israel. You just parrot Trita Parsi without a critical thought. When all is said and done, Gaza won't even make up the top 20 below the Holocaust. 13x more people have been displaced in Ukraine by Russian imperialism. Why are you guys such assholes? I don't proudly support genocide. I disagree. There is or was a genocide in Gaza. I'm definitely not R-worded, which is a slur where I come from. Screenshotting my bio like I'm ashamed to post it. Huh. It's so strange. Every single time someone chirps about me, every single time someone chirps about Graham Plattner, every single time someone chirps about Adam HaMaWY, Abdul El Sayed, who has no red flags in his background whatsoever, but they still try to invent them. It's always a 100% guarantee. How does this keep happening? It seems like these guys have so many different problems. Whenever they're talking about the likes of Graham Plattner, or whenever they're talking about the likes of Adam HaMaWY, or whenever they're talking about the likes of any number of Zoran Mamdani, they're like, oh, I just don't like Zoran because I don't think fast and free buses are good, right? This guy responded to me, by the way, is your goal the destruction of Israel? Where does the anti-Zionist cause lead? It's just strange. These guys are supposed to be Democrats, right? They're like, oh, I'm a Democrat, but I can't do this anymore. You know, I'm a Democrat and I'm a Gen Xer and a secular Zionist, a Lockheed liberal, a Calvinist, Presbyterian. Yeah. Look, yesterday, the mayor has a Latino problem, full stop. First, he condemns La Luchadora, Nydia Velázquez. And now, for the first Dominican in Congress and chair of the Hispanic caucus, if you don't think that's a purposeful attempt to dismantle Latino leadership in New York, I have a bridge to sell you. Today and every day, I stand with Israel. What? I thought the disagreements that you have with Zoran Mamdani and Daria Liza was because, I guess, she wasn't Afro-Latina enough for you, as opposed to Adriano Espaillat. But now it feels like you're more invested in the fact that Espaillat was an AIPAC stooge, and you liked that, and you don't like that Daria Liza, who is also literally Dominican, is anti-Zionist. Huh. So just remember that, okay? Remember that. Just as AIPAC never runs on the issue of Israel, they never fund ads that say, this candidate doesn't like Israel, that's why we need to punish him. The people that support Israel to the fucking hilt, the people that support Israel down to the goddamn bone, will never say, oh, my disagreements on this person, my disagreements with this candidate, my disagreements with HasanAbi Piker, a content creator, is not about Israel. They will never, sometimes they do say it, but usually, especially when it comes to these candidates, they won't openly be like, oh, you just hate Israel and I fucking hate you for it. They'll say, oh, you have a litany of different issues that I think are irredeemable. That's it. So yeah, whenever you hear any of this shit from the peanut gallery, okay, just look, see if they have any previous takes about Gaza, about Palestine, about genocide. What have they said? It's 100%. Okay? It is 100%. This story reflects so badly on Genevieve McDonald's integrity, character, and professionalism. She made a stupid decision to publicly jump ship when she misread the moment, rejected an NDA, then vindictively leaked confidential marriage info when it could only help Republicans. The Plattners confided to her, assuming she was a friend and professional, as they embarked on a campaign that would rake over over their personal lives, and McDonald betrayed that confidentiality out of spite 7 months after quitting the campaign, which she assumed was doomed in October, and gave a litany of opposition research to the Republicans. What about the leftists who have issues with Plattner, though? And they're, oh, no, that's different. That's different. But they're ultimately, they're irrelevant. I'm sorry to say this. And I don't mean this as like a diss. I just mean like in the grand scheme of things, in terms of like electing a senator from Maine, anti-imperialism of that sort, where you're like saying, you know, every American member of the military is a child killer that needs to be punished at The Hague. Like that kind of attitude demonstrated by a lot of the people that also hate Graham Plattner from the left is not exactly an attitude that is commonplace in American society. And I say this as someone who is anti-imperialist and someone who has been attacked viciously for being anti-imperialist. And my assessment on the situation always is to be as kind as possible to those who have done heinous things in the past, with the hopes that they actually, with the understanding, with the charitability that they most likely have changed as a person, right? Like, this has been my day one, my day one fundamental principle, right? I'm always going to understand that social conditioning played a major role in the development of every single person living in the imperial core, and that as long as they have learned from the things that they've done in the past and reflected on it and are trying to make the world a better place to ensure that others also don't make these same mistakes, don't take these same decisions, then, you know, I will ride for them. Many people here would call that very Christian of you, ironically. I mean, I don't know. I'm not a Christian. I'm not a religious person at all. It's just something that I believe. But yeah, the reason why I don't really bring up the ultra position of like every single veteran is a fucking child murderer is because I think it's immaterial, right? And to the degree that kind of thing was popular in America, like after Vietnam, it didn't age well. Like even Hunter Thompson going, "God mercy on you swine," is like extreme by our standards. Yeah. Well, anyway, we know you're not Christian. You're a numbers guy. Okay. Everyone is so collectively traumatized by Feder bitch. I mean, that plays a role in this as well. That plays a role in this calculus for sure, where people don't want another John Fetterman, right? Writing out Plattner's war crimes because the average voter will think you're socially maladjusted is just American chauvinism. That's moral inconsistency. I disagree with you on this topic, but understand where you're coming from. War crimes need accountability, both the grunt. First of all, here are a couple things, okay? We don't know what his actual fucking record is. We're just speculating that he engaged in a litany of war crimes because America's entire fucking war in Iraq and Afghanistan was a war crime, okay? That's number one. Now, one of the problems here is that we just associate the worst of the worst of the worst fucking acts of violence that American military members have engaged in with every single person in the military. And secondly, regardless of my position on American imperialism, I will always support those who make these changes. My community is comprised of a shit ton of fucking former veterans, okay? Veterans that are now anti-imperialist. They are not only reliable allies, but it's also fundamentally at odds with my worldview to just deny someone because of their background any sort of grace or charity, especially when they have changed. And every single time we have this conversation, people immediately go, "Nope, I don't believe you. Fuck you." I've never been this person. I've always been the person that says, look, American imperialism is an evil endeavor. And in spite of that, if someone has actually been a trigger man for American imperialism, if they've learned from their past, and if they want to stop it, then they are my ally. Okay? That's just the way I see it. And there are plenty of people who are veterans, who have been a part of this community, who have had on this broadcast, who I do see as reliable servants in the cause of anti-imperialism. That's it. There has also never been a historic revolutionary movement that did not comprise almost majority by veterans that have done heinous shit, okay? That's the other side of the story. It's just never existed. It's pure, I genuinely think it's pure and utter liberalism. That is what Mao Zedong would say, straight up. If Mao Zedong is the peak anti-rightist, Mr. Combat Liberalism himself, if he was questioned about this assessment, if he was like, hey, what do you think about people who are now serving the people instead? Like former KMT militants, for example, like in the KMT right. The KMT right flank was where the standing military was, right, of the nationalist forces. That was also a revolutionary force at the time, right? What did Mao Zedong accomplish? One of his greatest achievements was to convert former KMT nationalist forces. Obviously, the most significant accomplishment was the peasants, mobilizing the peasant class. But regardless, you will never convince me that this is a bad concept. I will continue to combat reactionary thought, and as a part of combating reactionary thought, I will continue to try and convert any and every person to this cause. Okay? If someone like Grant Plattner gets elected and doesn't do what he said he would do, you will be a sucker in this scenario? Certainly. Saying imperial wars you engaged in were stupid is not rehabilitation. I know, man. I know. How Trotsky built the Red Army? Oh, As much as Trotsky deserved the ice pick, oh my God, WS wrote a scathing article about my anti-Trotskyist thought, by the way. And they said I was a Stalinist, or I was engaging in Stalinist smears against Trots. They said I had no class analysis, no understanding of theory, and no politics whatsoever. But then they did defend me against the federal government's unjustifiable, political expedition, the political persecution. Anyway, guys, I just want you to understand, it is healthy and understandable to maintain skepticism towards Graham Plattner, especially given the many red flags in his background. Okay? That's it. I'm not going to sit here and act as though this is, you need to say this is the greatest fucking guy of all time. Okay? And I was, ironically enough, much more positive on Graham Plattner until I listened to him talk on the New York Times podcast, which everybody loved. But I personally thought it was much more cagey, and I think maybe it's because he's just not the best speaker. But I thought his answers to a lot of these questions were a lot more cagey than I thought he would be, especially at this point. But having said that, people constantly hear one side of this argument and never the other and get very upset at me. Because they'll clip the part where I'm talking about, like, there's never been a fucking revolutionary movement that hasn't comprised almost entirely of former military officials, former military members of some, rather heinous groups, the czarist military that ended up being recruited into the Red Army, right? Hold on, brother. What is going on? Dude, it's crazy, dude. It is crazy to me that I'm over here in fucking New Jersey and I have to unlock my door for the people at my house who can't be asked to go and unlock the door themselves. So I'm unlocking their door for their food delivery. What are we doing here? What's going on? Anyway, I think your relationship and respect for Jeffrey Sachs is far worse than supporting Plattner electorally. Okay. Weird how the contradiction is always shitting on Trotsky or siding with feds. Didn't Mao technically fight with Shanghai Shek against the Japanese? Yes, but what we're talking about is what predates the fight against the Japanese, for the record. The USSR's initial assessment was that the Communist Party of China simply did not have the ranks, which is true, because in the early 1920s, the Communist Party of China's numbers, paying membership, or just membership numbers, were quite literally, I'm not accosting you, I'm just explaining to you history, okay? So the Communist Party of China simply did not have the numbers. So the USSR's advice for the CPC was to literally align with the KMT, which they did, okay? They did. They worked under the banner of the KMT for the longest time. As they rose through the ranks, they tried to coordinate with the left flank of the KMT, because the KMT, just like every other socialist party or nationalist party or just like old school parties, had a center, had rightists, and had leftists, okay? So they worked in tandem with the KMT left. As a matter of fact, when Shanghai Shek did his push on numerous occasions, did the coup initially, the CPC, under the ranks of the KMT, actually benefited quite a bit from the KMT left. The KMT had different opinions than the CPC did, of course. Shanghai Shek, sorry. Anyway, every single successful revolution has always had instances of tremendous pragmatism that looks revisionist. And every single revolution that has been successful has also had excesses. Okay? This is a delicate balance that exists throughout all historical revolutions. At the end of the day, I'm not saying like, oh, Graham Plattner is a revolutionary. I don't think he is. I'm just, making an assessment that is adjusted to our current material reality in the United States of America. Chiang Kai-shek purged the leftists inside KMT to prevent the KMT from collaborating with the CPC. In spite of my skepticism over Graham Plattner's commentary and whatnot, his ops are all of my ops. So it's very difficult for me to sit here and not come across like I'm fucking defending him, even if I'm not defending him unconditionally, okay? I put my head on that man's shoulder. I think you should stop defending him and vote for Israel's preferred candidate, Susan Collins. Yes, I will be doing that, of course. I was writing I was Pills Mafia till the end, and now I'm of course riding with Susan Collins, who was never a trigger man, simply sent, tens of thousands of American sons and daughters overseas, which by the way is infallible because the vote of a congressperson does not matter. Okay? Leftists often fail at simple math. If you're a part of a movement and you want to grow that movement, you cannot do so unless you accept converts. Leftists who refuse to accept converts are basically being the 10K Zoroastrians in a world of 2 billion Christians, non-proselytizing versus proselytizing religions. If they want to lose forever, continue behaving this way. Well, lucky for us, most leftists don't behave that way. There's a difference between you and Graham, though, Hasan. Wait, between me and Graham Plattner? Yes, there are many differences. One is that I was fortunate enough, as far as like moral infallibility goes, I was fortunate enough to be born in fucking Turkey. Who knows what my attitude about American empire would be like if I was born in the United States of America? Okay? The fuck do you mean? I was always a curious person, and I certainly am very critical of Turkey's militarism as well. I don't know how I arrived at that conclusion, but initially I did, right? Or did I say born in Turkey? I was born in the United States of America, but like grew up in Turkey. Sorry. Raised in Turkey. Not born in Turkey. Fuck! Fox News. Fox News is going to be like, Hasan Piker admits to being born on foreign soil. Deport him now! Yes, raised in Turkey, not born in Turkey. I was born here. I'm literally in the state that I was born in. So we're just going to disregard all the red flags of someone like Plattner because he's our only option. I don't think most chatters realize that even though there's no ad at the top of the hour, they can still subscribe for $5 for free. God damn it. That's true. You are right. Although there are no ads at the Piker Broadcasting Service, you can still subscribe, and you should still subscribe to the Piker Broadcasting Service, also known as the People's Broadcasting Service. Yeah, the Main Wire is an opposition paper that was specifically designed to shit on Graham Plattner, by the way, and it's really funny because, like, from our perspective, this stuff looks awesome. Ex-Marine Graham Plattner taught military tactics, recruited for socialist paramilitary group in Maine. Yeah, he was an SRA guy. Got him in 4K admitting to being born in Africa in the same hospital as Obama. Anyway, but yeah, having said all of that, yeah, Graham Plattner was a little bit of a dog. Just look to, with the exception, with Graham Plattner, I was in the Army and the first person I ever voted for was John McCain. Come down the escalator and gave the immigration speech, and I was like, this guy's a Nazi. And then when he won, I was like, if he's going to be a Nazi, I might as well be a socialist. That's how I got into leftism. Yeah, everyone has their own unique journey. Right? I think what a lot of people get mad at me about is they think I'm like they think I'm too forgiving. Okay? They think I'm too forgiving of people who they think I'm too forgiving of people who have done things in the past that are sometimes heinous, like, and we don't know to the degree. Not to sound like a larper, but people realize we need people with military experience if there was a violent revolution in this country. I mean, yes, but that's not even what we're talking about here. We have this combo every single month. Yes. Like, the thing that I find really funny about what Susan Collins said about Graham Plattner's service, which, like, many leftists also ate up, okay, was, hold on. I gotta find this. Where is it? There was a really good analysis on it from a user named Ta-Nehisi Quotes. Let me see if I can find it. It was like it was really, really solid. It was a really solid assessment where, I mean, Ryan Grimm said something similar as well. But basically, when Susan Collins came out and was like, Graham Plattner personally chose to go to war. How dare you fucking blame me for it? It's like, so you're saying that someone who was born in the United States of America, who was hopped up on American exceptionalism and Western chauvinism, okay, at the age of 18, signed the fucking dotted line to go wage wars, right? That person is more responsible, but you, in your old-ass age, at the age of like 60, as a congressperson, kept funding the military and kept sending more and more people to war. You are not responsible for it? The responsibility under the American individualistic framework, the responsibility is in the hands of an 18-year-old and not in the hands of the fucking 60-year-old that sent them to war. It's not in the hands of the media executives that championed this war. Okay? I find that so strange. It literally does not compute with my worldview. I find that ridiculous. And I say this as someone who is still skeptical of Graham Plattner. Okay? It's understandable to be skeptical of Graham Plattner. Like his argument is, I did this. I was feeling disillusioned, but then I had no other. I when you're in the system, when you're doing this, this is your job. Okay, this is your job, and it's the only thing you know, and you can't do anything else. This is a huge problem with veteran groups in general. Is to reintegrate them back into society and to turn them into reliable allies, to turn them into like anti-imperialists. This is a huge problem, and every single veteran in this community would fucking say the same shit, right? But yeah, Ta-Nehisi Coates said, the phenomenon of young men desiring war for the excitement of battle and violence is a self-destructive but ineradicable feature of human nature. Ineradicable feature of human nature, which has been remarked on by poets and artists for millennia. Likewise, the phenomenon of former warriors aging into pacifism as maturation convinces them of war's folly is not new. In our society, wisely, we entrust regulation of young men's desire for war not to the young men, but to our Congress, whom we expect to act with wisdom, deploying soldiers only in circumstances where doing so is completely necessary. Susan Collins was a member of Congress, which sent Plattner and many other men like him to Iraq on the basis of lies. Once deployed, those men destroyed themselves and others en masse. Using his drive to enlist as a 19-year-old as a hit on his campaign to unseat her is pathetic. Are you for real skeptical of him, and is it just to please these psychos who don't believe people can change? No, I do believe people can change. It still doesn't matter. There is like still some... Dude, I do believe people can change. I do. But right now, he's running for office in a somewhat conservative state. I don't know how much of his communications on his campaign have been reflective of the tastes of the audiences, the masses that he's trying to win over to vote for him, and how much of it is his genuine perspective, or how much change has actually taken place. But I'm skeptical of all politicians regardless. But yeah, ultimately, if you're a leftist in any way, shape, or form, and you hear Susan Collins say the exact same things that you've been saying, you should probably, second guess your assessment a little bit. But my assessment on this is simple. He's anti-Zionist and he's pro-Medicare for all. That's good. That's a pretty decent standard to set for politicians, many of which can't even clear that fucking low-ass bar. Okay? So yeah, if your argument is that like he doesn't fit your standard of anti-Zionism because he's not saying that like we should castrate the synagogue of Satan that owns Hollywood or whatever the fuck, then yeah, you're not a serious person. We're not having a serious conversation. You do this ship of Theseus, you do this Mott and Bailey argument where you're sometimes making serious criticisms of American imperialism and the soldiers that actually contributed to it. And then in most other times, you're not having a serious conversation at all. Because it's always the Galindo heads that are seemingly the anti-Plattner leftists. Galindo Mafia. Hasan doesn't like him because he doesn't understand why anyone would farm oysters. No, man, he did fucking still join Blackwater. Like, I have to be, like, unbelievably charitable. I have to be the most charitable person on the fucking planet beyond, like, what normal, regular levels of charitability. If you were to give me his background and you were to tell me, like, oh, this guy's a fucking combat veteran, literally was in the Marines, in the Army, and did security detail outside of fucking Abu Ghraib. He wasn't inside, to be fair, but still... was like literally in the vicinity of Abu Ghraib, and also on top of that left and in 2018 joined Blackwater to do diplomat security, and also it turns out he had a fucking totem cough on his chest. I'd be like, what the fuck are you talking about? So yeah, on paper, not exactly great, but what he does with this is really fucking good. It shows an entirely different person. That's why I think like there's almost a schizophrenic approach to Graham Plattner where like people lose their fucking minds because he is extreme on both ends, right? If you were to tell me, however, someone who is a veteran who's like anti-war, who's running on a campaign of no more wars and Medicare for all and is an avowed anti-Zionist, right? And then I'm like, wow, that sounds fucking brilliant. That sounds incredible. Do you understand why there's this crazy, like this crazy wave of like anti-Plattnerites and people who are pro-Plattner at the same time? Where some people look at that and go, that's fucking awesome. He's great. Think like a chud. Think like a woke, walk like a chud. That's great. He's the perfect candidate. Who gives a shit? There is this immense duality, this immense juxtaposition that causes people to fucking lose their minds. A real progressive mind and a MAGA body for Graham Plattner when you think about it. My point is, however, all of this other stuff about his like fucking, all this other shit about, not the tattoo necessarily, but even then it's like people talking about his like infidelity and whatnot. Like all of this is bullshit. The reason why you give a fuck about this is because he's anti-Israel. That's it. He's anti-Israel and you hate that. You do not want another senator to be anti-Israel. And the hilarious thing to believe is that 90% of this convo involves non-main voters. Yes. Yes. This person is right. The wife believes it's an invasion of privacy. The only part that matters here. In a statement released by the campaign, Ms. Gertner suggested that she'd been betrayed by Ms. McDonald, saying that she was deeply hurt and bothered by the invasion of our privacy. I confided deeply personal details about my marriage to someone I considered a friend, she said. I trusted this person with the most private chapter of our lives, the early days of our marriage, before any campaign was on our mind. Our marriage today is stronger than ever before, she added. I know the man I married and the husband he has been to me on the best and worst days of my life. That hasn't changed and it won't. Plattner is a more controversial candidate than Galindo to anyone who's suffering from American exceptionalism. Okay, dude. Sure. We live in America. Everyone is suffering from American exceptionalism to varying degrees. If you want to fucking hit me with that beam as well, go ahead. So much of this conversation from the left also turns into, hey guys, this content creator that you believe is a radical is not actually radical. I'm the real radical. Watch me instead. And a lot of people don't understand that. Okay? Sure, there's a real conversation taking place on the basis of morality, on the basis of ideology, or at least that's what it seems like, right? That's what it feels like from afar. But you scratch that surface a little bit and you realize very quickly, no, it's just a game of people trying to generate market share for their own fucking business. That's the way they operate, at least. And some of you get duped by it. A lot of people get duped by it. I'm pretty fucking transparent. I have a more complex, a more nuanced approach to this issue. But you can always say, dude, nuance on fucking baby murder. That's what you can say and then move on. To which I always say this. If your politics, if your mass politics is so appealing, you're barking up the wrong tree. Okay? You should be taking your mass politics to the masses. You should be converting the masses, not trying to come into this community and be like, nope, I'm only going to fight people who are closest to me ideologically. I've been told by numerous up-and-coming leftist creators that once we get rid of you, they'll form the real Vanguard Party with their channel and we can fix everything. I know. Everybody always wants to form the Vanguard Party, but no one actually wants to go to the masses. And when someone is going to the masses and trying to pull them to leftist politics, they go, nope, you're doing it wrong. I would be doing it in your stead in a much better, much more successful way. And it's crazy to me because it's like, okay, well, you have the opportunity. And the only method that you have shown so far is critiquing what I'm trying to do. That's why it's always funny when people go, oh, he's like, he's bastardizing Lenin. How dare you? It's like, dude, the average American thinks Lenin is has killed 700 guerrillion people. What are you talking about? Like, there is no introduction to Lenin to the average normie that goes, well, I do have a lot of reverence for Lenin. I'm an HVAC small business owner, and I love Lenin. And now that I've encountered this revisionist piece of shit, HasanAbi Piker, I'm desperately seeking out someone who is a more honest advocate of Lenin's revolution. Yeah. If your leftist queer space leaves no room for me, the most mean, aggressive, annoying, antisocial person you can imagine, so I can constantly make everyone walk on eggshells around me as a sign of some sort of moral superiority, is it really a safe space at all? I want to see the Vanguards writing the policy they want to enact first, like build and buy a new bureaucratic system. Anyway, my point is, this is not even about Graham Plattner. We've moved way past the point of Graham Plattner, right? Like, this is more about like a critique of electoralism, right? Where a lot of people say, I'm a tailist, I'm an opportunist, I'm engaging in entryism, I'm engaging in electoralism, and electoralism must be abandoned in order for the revolution to take root. I've been pretty open about my theory, right? My goals. Very open about it. I have no loyalty to any party whatsoever. I do have loyalty to certain policies, to advancing people's material conditions, to make their lives a little bit more livable, while in the process of trying to foment class consciousness to the best of my ability in an unbelievably reactionary country that is the imperial core, where masses self-identify as liberals, even if they are not necessarily liberal, right? And electoralism has been a successful route to foment class consciousness and to also start people on the journey of political education. Bernie Sanders' 2016 insurgency was a real proof of this concept. Many of the people who now shit on Bernie on a daily basis or shit on me on a daily fucking basis, and I have my criticisms of Bernie Sanders as well, actually started their ideological journey through Bernie Sanders. So they don't even fucking recognize that in their own personal experience, electoralism played a major role. And right now, we're at the precipice of something genuinely different than what we've had before, where you have self-identifying democratic socialists running and winning in spite of all the hurdles thrown their fucking way. And there are still naysayers to the left that are going, no, they're all liberals. They're all fucking, they're not even like social democrats. They're all fucking libtards. They're all Zionists. They're all genociders. Fuck them. These guys claim to be Marxist-Leninists, but they behave a lot like left comms. Because on the other side of tailism are those who engage in the other side of opportunism, frontism. People who are constantly trying to push the boundaries in a way that sometimes leans into unproductive outcomes. Anarchists that think adventurism or the propaganda of the deed will be successful in fomenting revolutionary politics amongst the masses. Okay? You always have to have a pragmatic approach. That's my assessment. You always have to make sure you have a decent understanding. Make sure you have a decent understanding of where the masses are, how they self-identify, and speak to them with the language that they understand. I'm constantly working to expand the permission boundaries, and I think I do a fairly decent job at that. So yeah, it's like, do you really want a Susan Collins? The idea is so idiotic to me. Roll the dice. No, I mean that's separate. These guys say that there's no genuine distinction between Susan Collins and Graham Plattner. That's their assessment. From where they're standing, they're both. One is a triggerman for American empire. The other one is sending triggermen overseas. So there is no discernible difference between either of them. And they LARP. They LARP as though they're like living in the third world in many instances. They LARP as third worldists. It's fine. My take always is like, if you're participating in the American electoral process, it's a bourgeois democracy. Of course, the options are incredibly limited. The confines are incredibly limited. So no matter who you end up choosing, they're going to have blemishes on their record. They're going to have idiotic opinions or wrong opinions or reactionary opinions. You have to make do with what you have and adjust it to the confines of permissibility. You have to adjust it to where the masses are. If you want to do mass politics, you got to go where the masses are. You got to talk like the masses. You got to develop a better understanding of the masses. That's why I always say, be normal, be normal, be normal, be normal. Okay? In any case,
we'll soon make a final
let's talk about this. Justin, at least 5 Americans reportedly hurt in recent Iranian attack.
Determination on a proposed 60-day ceasefire extension with Iran after wrapping up a meeting yesterday in the Situation Room.
Meanwhile, a new report indicates at least 5 Americans were hurt in a recent Iranian missile attack on Kuwait.
Madeline Rivera joins us from Washington, D.C. with all the latest details. Maddie, good morning.
Good morning, guys. So that 2-hour meeting ended yesterday with little clarity as to whether the president will move forward with this memo of understanding. A White House official telling Fox President Trump will only make a deal that is good for America and satisfies his red lines. Iran can never possess a nuclear weapon. The president has maintained his key asks, which not only includes preventing Iran from obtaining a nuclear weapon, he also demanded unrestricted shipping traffic in the Strait of Hormuz and the removal of mines in the waterway. And regarding Iran's highly enriched uranium, the president says the stockpile, sometimes referred to as nuclear dust, will be unearthed by the United States, which it is agreed is the only country, along with China, with the mechanical capability of doing so in close coordination and conjunction with the Islamic Republic of Iran, plus the International Atomic Energy Agency, and destroyed. But Iran's parliament speaker says in a defiant post, "We seize concessions not through dialogue, but with missiles. In negotiations, we merely make them understand we have no trust in guarantees or words. Only actions are the measure. The winner of any agreement is the one who is better prepared for war from the day after." Secretary of War Pete Hegseth warning that military action is still on the table if both sides can't reach a deal.
Our ability to recommence if necessary is, we are more than capable. Our stockpiles are more than suited for that, both there and around the globe, because of how we balance exquisite and more plentiful munitions. So we're in a very good place.
Meantime, Bloomberg reports at least 5 Americans were hurt after Iran launched a ballistic missile towards a Kuwaiti airbase earlier this week. The missile was intercepted by Kuwaiti forces, but falling debris reportedly hit the Ali al-Salam airbase. Per Bloomberg, 2 MQ-9 Reaper drones were also seriously damaged in the incident. Charlie, Rachel.
One last thing I want to say on this. While I was pissing, I was thinking about this. Okay. In order to engage in revolutionary politics, you need masses. Okay, you need the masses. And in order to get the masses to engage in revolutionary politics, you need to be where the masses are. You need to speak the language of the masses. Okay? This doesn't mean you must compromise, but you have to be understanding of their starting position. Okay? This is the number one principle of agitation, agitated propaganda. If you reach the masses and you don't speak their language, or if you reach the masses, if you go to where they're at, and you don't speak to their needs, and you speak as though they're already class conscious, without trying to understand where they're coming from, without being charitable, without demonstrating empathy, without keeping in mind the profound impact of social conditioning when you speak to them, you are never going to achieve the results that you want to achieve. Okay? You have to speak to their needs, and you have to offer solutions. And you have to be always cognizant of their shortcomings, their setbacks, their ideological blinders. That's it.
And Griff.
All right, Maddie. Thanks, Maddie. Very much.
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube.
Another dawn, another day of motionless vessels on the Strait of Hormuz. And another day of these ships waiting for some movement from either Washington or Tehran to end the war for good.
The ceasefire is a done deal that everyone agrees on the price for both sides, but the U.S. and Trump in particular just seem politically incapable of taking it. He's been fully BB-fied and adopted the strategy of if other options are bad, just delay perpetually until something changes or opens up. Unfortunately for Trump, he's much more of a coward than Bibi and is unwilling, it seems, to perform the mischief that would change the situation. Where does that leave us? We are waiting for another round of money molestation via oil markets, methinks, says Noah Colwyn. It is true. They're literally looking at the situation. They're like, something will change eventually. Fuck it. Kyle is so funny, dog. Graham Plattner could have sexted my mom and I'd still vote for him. Yeah.
And get this crucial economic waterway.
You see a scenario where it kicks the can down the line for the next president? I don't think we don't make it to the next president if that's the case, chatter.
Back up and running. President Trump had said that he intended to make a decision after a meeting in the Situation Room on Friday, but he did not, with the defense secretary saying he had faith in the commander-in-chief.
I'm quite confident with our president who makes nothing but great deals, that ultimately it'll be something he's proud to defend, that ensures that Iran, which everyone knows should not have a nuclear weapon, never does.
It's believed.
Yeah, I mean, there is a timeline here where the rubber meets the road. I've been saying this over and over again, okay? All commodities traders have been saying this as well, which is that oil is a physical commodity that has inelastic demand. So once supply runs out, it's a global commodity. Once supply runs out, people are going to start getting really frisky. They're going to start doing things that you previously thought were crazy, that would never happen. Because without it, you don't have a fucking energy grid, right? Hospitals start closing down. Babies start dying. No more incubators, right? I've seen it with my own 2 eyes in Cuba. The entire world will turn into Cuba. Governments will collapse. You can't refrigerate food. Now, obviously, America as an oil exporter can stave off some of the worst consequences, but America doesn't just have a responsibility to the Americans. As the hegemon, and as also the party that triggered this event and the blockade of the Strait of Hormuz, America has a responsibility to the rest of the world to fix the problem that they started. So I'm not exactly certain as to how, what our plan is to fix the situation. What our plan is when push comes to shove, when the pedal hits the metal, when the rubber meets the road.
Any deal would extend the ceasefire for 60 days and start talks on the future of Iran's nuclear program. At a pro-regime rally in...
Yeah, here is Robert A. Pape, Mr. Escalation Ladder himself, saying everyone should read what Senior Vice President of Exxon, Neil Chapman, says about the oil price surge coming in 2 to 3 weeks. The next wave of the energy shock is approaching fast. Commercial inventories of crude oil, of liquids, think petroleum, gasoline, diesel, jet fuel, they've all run down. And running down those inventories is mitigated or offset, supplemented by the release of strategic petroleum reserves, which most of the Western countries have done. All of that has mitigated the impact. You can model this. We've modeled it. I think a lot of people in the industry have modeled it. We're approaching we're approaching new levels of unheard inventory levels. I mean, really, really low levels. You can debate whether that's going to hit those really low levels in 2 weeks or 3 weeks. Once you get to that point, then you'll see prices shoot up. I mean, I think dated Brent, most people, well, a model would say dated Brent will shoot up. Once you get to that really low inventory level, up to 150, 160, the models will tell you that. And then what happens is when the price gets to a certain level, demand destruction brings it back into balance. Prices go so high, it becomes unaffordable. And that's what happens. And so we're at that level right now. And I think crude being in this sort of $90 to $110 for the last, whatever it is, 6 weeks, has really been mitigated by running down inventories. It can't last forever. So we'll see what happens. And predicting this and the exact timing, it's always a challenge. But that's the way we see the picture. So everyone has been holding on to their strategic reserves and just releasing their strategic reserves with the hopes that Trump won't be so crazy that he'll continue this fucking blockade for an extended period of time. Well, Trump is that guy. He is crazy enough. So what happens when the strategic oil reserves are tapped out? Because they're nearing levels, nearing red alert levels already.
Tehran, Iranians voice skepticism. Trump has constantly mentioned a potential deal for weeks to no avail. And given the Americans have attacked Iran in the middle of negotiations before, distrust of the US president prevails.
First of all, this is not just my view. The whole world is saying that he is a crazy, stupid person. He does not stand by his word. He is a complete liar and a low person, and he only talks nonsense. We don't pay attention to what he says, and we continue our own work.
It was just last Saturday that Marco Rubio said there was good news to come, and Trump said the agreement had largely been negotiated, before later saying he wasn't yet satisfied. The president's shifting narrative has been criticized, and the framework on the table does not match his stated objectives when he launched the war on February the 28th. Yes, he discussed nuclear weapons then, but he also spoke of regime change and Iran's missile capabilities, and the Strait of Hormuz was never mentioned.
Part of the problem, of course, is that the United States, when it started off these negotiations or started off this entire process, it thought that the Iranian...
Look who it is, bro. We're watching Channel 4, and who do they got? Who do they got on Channel 4?
Were going to collapse within 4 days. So he never really thought that this public posture and public negotiation would be a problem. But that is one of the two biggest problems we have right now, which is that the negotiations are taking place too publicly, which is never helpful in situations like this. And secondly, the ball has been in the Iranian court for more than 10 days now.
And the Iranians want any potential deal to include peace in Lebanon, where Israeli forces continue to advance in their war against Hezbollah, despite a ceasefire being in place.
If there is continued slaughter and bombing of Lebanon, the spillover risk is significant, and that can actually reignite the war between Israel and Iran. We've already seen how twice the war in Gaza and Lebanon has spilled over into Iran. And the Iranian objective here is to truly end the war, not just have a pause, not have a porous ceasefire that the Israelis can break at any time.
President Trump hasn't headed off to Florida this weekend as he usually does, sticking close to the White House. He knows he needs some conclusion because in this election year, the conflict is hugely unpopular. 2/3 of Americans say it was wrong to go to war. And the headaches are mounting for a president obsessed with his legacy after a federal judge ordered the removal of Trump's name from the Kennedy Center in Washington, D.C. In response, an irate president wrote, "Unless I am free to do what I do better than anyone else, I have no interest in continuing what could only be a hopeless journey into Never Never Land."
He just straight up got butthurt over the Kennedy thing, where they were like, yeah, the Congress has to name it, and Congress has to rename the Kennedy Center if you want to rename it. And he lost his dang mind. He wrote one of the longest fucking screeds I've seen him write. I think this literally might be the longest thing that he's written, saying, "Oh, if you don't want me, then I'll leave, I guess." No, he's not threatening to resign, dude. Oh, fuck, I wish he would threaten us with a good time like that. But of course that's not the case. What he's threatening to do is just like fuck the world up further, okay? It's like, "Oh, if you don't give me what I want, I'll molest the money further. I'll molest the money further."
That speaks volumes about Trump on Iran too. That when the president
And there's
doesn't get
nothing
his way,
you can do
he
about
loses
it.
interest. And the vessels on the Strait of Hormuz are left to wait for the president to refocus his attention on their ongoing plight.
Now to the uncertainty about whether the war with Iran will reignite. The White House says it's working toward a deal with Iran that would extend the ceasefire for another 60 days, but no final decision has been made. Overnight at a security conference in Singapore, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth said the U.S. is more than capable of restarting the war, but expressed confidence that President Trump could reach a deal with Iran. Olivia Gazis joins us now from Washington, D.C., another Princeton alum. Olivia, good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Adriana. President Trump met with top advisors for more than 2 hours in the Situation Room Friday in order to make a final determination on Iran. But officials have not said whether a deal was reached or was even close.
They're very good negotiators. They're crafty.
President Trump on Friday seemed to stop short of sealing a deal with Iran he earlier said would dismantle Tehran's uranium stockpile and fully reopen the Strait of Hormuz. The lack of agreement raising the specter of fresh military strikes and elevated energy costs, which administration officials have downplayed.
Look, for many families, it's not nothing, but it's been less than $200 in extra.
We had the Plattner spy in on another Maine campaign. The former Plattner aide that leaked this story and who only worked for the campaign over a couple of weeks in his initial months has resigned from Jordan Woods' campaign as of this morning. Oh, wow. The ex-Plattner aide who publicly leaked this stuff to the New York Times is pulling down $9K a month from Jordan Wood, a Maine 2 Dem candidate who has endorsed Plattner, the Democrats, an incredible political party. Well, she resigned. I'm telling you, man, the Israel stuff is fucking crazy. I think people need to be extra skeptical of the way that anti-Israel candidates are covered. Okay? That's it. I mean, if you can do that for Maureen Galindo, you should be able to do that for Graham Plattner too. It's kind of crazy. You need background checks on people you hire. I don't think anyone ever thought that it would be like this. Who the fuck would think that they're hiring spies to their campaign, chatter? Especially when they're first starting, especially if they're green. I mean, it's just crazy to me that there was a person in Kat Abu Ghazalik's campaign, there was a person in Abdullah al-Sayed's campaign, and there was a person in Graham Plattner's campaign. How would you not? No, dude, I'm telling you, if you're relatively new, I don't think you assume that there is going to be someone who is potentially being very helpful to a foreign state and trying to undermine your campaign from within. I don't think people are that, I don't think people scrutinize to that degree. I think they just, because remember, these people, when they start off, they don't have that kind of motion. Like when Graham Plattner was like a random fucking oysterman who was propped up by Bernie Sanders and a bunch of other groups to run because they thought he was doing a really good job speaking at a town hall or something. I don't think they thought that they would have people that they hired, people that they've known for years, that would potentially operate like a fucking Mossad agent, okay? Going forward, though, yes, if you are a candidate, if you're running for office, you have to be, you have to scrutinize people extra hard. Because at the end of the day, Hasbara might be dog shit, but that doesn't mean all of the campaigns against critics of Israel are gonna be dog shit. Sometimes it's not gonna be dog shit.
Extra the gasoline cost.
The diplomatic deadlock also deepening political problems for the president, with midterm elections now just 5 months away.
I'd imagine if you could have timed things perfectly, having a conflict just in front of the midterm elections at a time like this isn't ideal.
So if you wanted to play that game, then you would wait till the midterms are over, and then the following hour, you'll attack Iran because they cannot have a nuclear weapon.
Administration officials argue continued economic pressure through an ongoing blockade and new sanctions on Iran could force it back to the table.
There's three scenarios. We have the deal. We don't have the deal, but we just maintain the blockade and we keep squeezing them. And you know, I think every day that goes by, much worse for them. Or we go back to kinetic action.
But as talks have stalled, U.S. intelligence sources say Iran has wasted no time in trying to rebuild some of its missile and drone systems.
Iran has historically had the largest missile arsenal in the region, as well as its drone capabilities. So Iran will certainly use any prolonged negotiation to rebuild its capabilities and its leverage.
It is unclear at this hour whether talks are ongoing. A White House official said President Trump will only make a deal that is good for America and satisfies his red lines. Iranian officials have said that they have, quote, no trust in guarantees or words. Adriana?
Olivia Gazas, thank you.
And developing this morning, tensions escalating once again outside of an immigration detention facility in New Jersey.
Protests have been going on outside Delaney Hall in Newark for more than a week now, with ICE agents clashing with protesters. And John D.
Yeah, this is where we're going to be headed in a little bit. But the situation at Delaney Hall is pretty insane, and it's only gotten worse. Delaney Hall is a private prison facility, a for-profit prison facility run by a GEO Group, a private prison business, and the conditions inside of Delaney Hall are heinous, immoral, awful, and the people that are inside of the detention facility, the immigrants that are being kept inside of the facility, have gone on a hunger strike, and also on top of that, they have started participating in a labor strike as well. Now, you might be thinking, why is there a labor strike at all? Like, how does this work? Well, GEO Group actually puts to work the people that they are imprisoning to maintain the prison itself, right? To do the janitorial stuff, to work in the kitchens and whatnot. And it's just slavery. These are people who have been living on U.S. soil, awaiting their court date, and then sometimes going to their court date and showing up and then getting kidnapped by masked thugs of the state. And now, of course, all of the right-wing shitheads are there. Cam Higbee was caught on video walking up to a group of protesters and pepper spraying multiple people outside of a Newark ICE facility. Then, as people reacted to being sprayed, an armed man pulled him away, telling him it's not worth it, it's time to go. Last time I checked, walking up to a group of people and spraying them with a chemical irritant is commonly charged as assault or battery. And then, after spraying the crowd, the video shows Higbee and the armed man running into the ICE facility while agents allowed them inside. Imagine the outrage if a left-wing activist walked up to a group of conservatives, pepper sprayed them, and then disappeared behind federal gates. The headlines would never stop. The law is supposed to apply equally to everyone. Except we all know that these right-wing agitators, Cam Higbee also literally went to Israel too. He's a agent for PragerU, and has served as a foreign agent for Israel, which, you know, there's no fair restrictions, obviously, on that sort of stuff.
Not worth it. Not worth it. No, we gotta go. Time to go.
Proud Boys are also there today, this morning. They were doing a pro-ICE protest.
You Nazi. Fuck you. What's up? What's up? What's up? Keep moving. What's up?
After what happened the last couple nights, I think Rebecca Sherrill should have, this is unpeaceful, she should have disbanded this whole thing. First Amendment, peaceful protest. This is bullshit protest, and it should be cleared out. I mean, this isn't right.
The protests have been peaceful until
you watching TV?
I've been here every
yeah, that's real peaceful. Ask the state police how peaceful it is. I got hit in the head by a fucking piece of concrete.
You guys are obstructing traffic, obstructing workers. You don't know what you're doing, okay? You have no clue what you're even fucking protesting.
What are you saying?
You fucking numbskull.
All right. Tear gas or pepper spray. Yeah, pushing cops, pushing ICE agents, that's okay, huh?
Yeah, January 6th, right? That was you guys?
What's that?
I don't know, was it? I wasn't.
Yeah,
Were you there?
Yeah, beating cops. All right, on January 6th, how many cops died at January 6th? How many? Zero.
Who the fucking virus is? You motherfucker.
Well, it's not peaceful. You can see that. It should be, Mikey Sherrill, I don't know if she listens to CBS.
Oh, yeah? Okay. Hold on. I'm turning on the laptop camera and turning off the... okay. All right. Well, still, I don't want to be super late and be rude, Okay. Not much drop off in quality, given the camera is busted anyway. But yeah, so you got a bunch of fucking kind of looks like cops to me, I'm gonna be honest. Dressed up in Proud Boy gear, there specifically to agitate at the behest of the MAGA movement, the government. What? No. Fuck. God damn it. Look in the other backpack. Okay. All right. Oh, nice. Okay. Yeah, people have been protesting outside of Delaney already. Last night, Mickey Sherrill, the governor, who previously had done a stunt to try and go into the Delaney facility, the governor of New Jersey, actually decided to join forces with... No, we're good. Mickey Sherrill, the governor of New Jersey, actually decided to join forces with the ICE agents. They set up barricades, and she deployed the state troopers on her own constituents in the state of New Jersey at the behest of the MAGA movement, at the behest of the Trump administration, where the state troopers of New Jersey worked in tandem with ICE agents, with federal law enforcement, and pepper sprayed her own constituents all the same. Look, and there are still people who are trying to defend it. The use of state troopers outside of Delaney Hall does not seem to have diffused tensions like the state officials had hoped. Raj Parikh says, this misses the point. Governor Sherrill eliminated the ability of the Trump admin to create a pretext to make New Jersey into the next Minnesota for the ICE surge. This is exactly how to protect our neighbors from illegal federal overreach. Yeah, we should just fucking kill our own citizens so that, Trump's agents can't do it, right? Great logic. Sick the state troopers on the protesters so the feds don't have ICE to do the same thing. Brilliant gamesmanship if you don't actually give a shit about the human beings inside and outside of Delaney Hall. Yeah. Oh, you see, you don't understand. This is brilliant. This is statecraft. This is brilliant gamesmanship. This is games theory. Professor Chong would love this. Okay? What we're doing is we're hurting our own constituents ourselves so that we don't let Trump do it. Because if Trump did it, he would actually enjoy it a lot. And we can't give him that enjoyment. So we're just robbing him of that enjoyment. Is that what it is? Very stupid.
Or not, just ban this shit and stop it. This is a waste of taxpayers' money, and it's not peaceful. And you watch when we leave here how peaceful it's going to be. It's not.
Your message today
we are here for law enforcement. What's that?
Your message today, what brings you here?
The message today? Stop it. Mikey Sherrill, end this shit. Just end it. We don't want to see it. This is bullshit.
And that protest there, and we're talking about Delaney Hall. Your message about Delaney Hall, the fact that it's...
So Delaney Hall... You're here illegally, you're only breaking the law. They didn't open the floodgates, and Delaney Hall went exist. They let so many fucking people in this country. They should never did that. This wouldn't be here. Alligator Alcatraz wouldn't be here. This is all bullshit because they opened the borders. Let them in. Can't get the votes the right way. We'll get the votes.
Yeah. That's what's going on here. Fantastic.
Is joining us live now from there in Newark. And John, now we have protests, clashing and dueling protests happening where you are, right?
Yeah, guys, good morning, both of you. We are live here, right really in the center of all of it. On one side of the road, we have about a dozen people in support of ICE starting their protest. You have between 10 to 12 people out here, a lot of them saying that they are from Jersey. But on the other side, though, you can see there's double, if not a triple amount of the people on the other side of the road saying that they do not support this ICE and all these enforcement. Now, a lot of officers are out here telling everyone to stay on their side. They're fearing that things, could get heated out here this morning. But if you take a look here, though, at this video, this is what it all looked like out here last night. Right at 10 o'clock, New Jersey State Police in full riot gear were seen clashing with protesters equipped with gas masks and goggles. Protesters were given 15 minutes to leave the area established outside Delaney Hall or risk getting arrested. Just hours earlier, the New Jersey Attorney General announced state police would be stepping in for ICE and taking over public safety operations after a week of tense clashes outside Delaney Hall between protesters and ICE agents. The governor started what she's calling a peaceful protected protest zone. Take a listen.
Our top priority is public safety, and we need to take this opportunity to lower the temperature now. I recently took an oath to the Constitution of New Jersey. I am going to protect people's right to protest peacefully, and I'm going to ensure everyone's safety. And I am confident in New Jersey we can do both.
And just this morning, Governor Sherrill releasing this statement saying in part, quote, today and going forward, I urge everyone who is protesting to do so peacefully in the safe areas and work together to bring the temperature down. We need to focus on advocating for better conditions for the detainees, for their families, and ultimately the closure of Delaney Hall. Now, conditions are a part of what led protesters to break out last Friday. Organized groups claim detainees are on hunger and labor strike due to them. But Department of Homeland Security officials, well, they're claiming detainees get 3 meals a day and have access to comprehensive medical care and deny allegations of hunger strike. And a live look back out here, you can see a lot of people out here.
She's navigating this pretty well, right? No, she's not. I just told you that she deployed the state troopers to beat the fuck out of the anti-ICE protesters, her own constituents. The opposition in this circumstance is the incursion by the federal government, okay? The federal government is overreaching. The federal government has deployed federal agents on Jersey soil outside of this private prison facility on New Jersey soil, and they're straight up brutalizing people from New Jersey. Mickey Sherrill's constituents, people that voted for Mickey Sherrill, people who she's supposed to be defending here, okay? Defending against this kind of thing. All right, we're ready to go. All right, we're going to move on now. We're going to move out right now, and I'll keep playing this for now. And we're going to be heading over to this. Wait, hold on. Actually, let me fucking call the Uber first.
They are against this enforcement. They want to shut down Delaney Hall. We have this man saying chance, and they do have this road blocked off to most vehicular traffic just in case things do get out of control. About a whole mile is blocked off. But over here on the other side, you can see that these people are in support of ICE. So a lot going down out here. I have to move on over right now. But we're going to keep you updated throughout the day. Looks like these people will not be leaving anytime soon. So for now, we are live this morning from Newark, New Jersey. John Diaz, CBS News, New York.
All right, John, thank you. We can only hope things remain peaceful where you are and that you stay safe out there. We'll check back in with John in about a half hour's time.
Well, take a look at this wild video. Protests erupting outside a New Jersey ICE facility, and they got violent very quickly, defying New Jersey's Democratic governor, who just announced peaceful protected protest zones outside Delaney Hall. And now a New Jersey man is facing charges for allegedly kicking and biting ICE officers. We are expecting more protests today, so let's go live to Newark, New Jersey, where our Steve Harrigan is ready for anything. Steve, what does it look like behind you?
Aisha, those protests already underway here. We've got a small pro-ICE group here, about 24 people, and then several hundred anti-ICE protesters. They're pretty much cursing at each other, separated by...
Who the fuck has a Tom Homan Law and Order flag, bro? The thin green line? Oh my God. That is... You have to be a real fucking freak-ass bitch for that, dude. You went to Amazon and you were like... You had to custom make that, right? I suspect you had to make that custom. I love waving my fucking Tom Homan flag. That's just a Fed? Yeah, that has to be.
Some of those metal barricades. The goal over the past 24 hours was to set up a safe zone, this according to the governor, where people could protest peacefully. That did not happen last night.
What?
Instead, we saw state police march in after being unable to clear the road. They used shields and batons and then used pepper spray and flashbangs to try and clear the protesters out, about several hundred strong. This is what that scene looked like last night.
Another explosion there of tear gas. It's clear these protesters were here to fight just around 10 p.m.
Isn't it 65 degrees out? No.
Cases and cases of water
It's windy.
To wash their eyes when that tear gas hits.
Yeah, there's none. Yeah, they're apparently... The counter-protesters at Delaney Hall are saying the Epstein files are a hoax. The Epstein files are fake news. Fuck the Epstein files, shit like that. Oh, I got one. Oh, shit. Good guys, dude. Just normal guys, you know what I mean? Just fucking good ass guys, dude. Okay.
Nobody cares about the Epstein files.
Great.
Epstein files are fake news. Epstein files, who cares?
Who amongst us, bro? Epstein
And that's what's
misunderstood.
going on now. A confrontation between the two sides for control of these streets out in front of the detention center.
As often happens, the crowd really changes after 10 o'clock. Then it was mainly young people, a lot of them with helmets on, with gas masks, looking for a fight. The question now is, how long is that fight going to continue? We've heard from the Attorney General saying this can't go on. He's talking about some of the agents being bitten in scuffles in the crowds. But it looks like they're gearing up for probably more trouble after dark here once again. Aisha, back to you.
Okay, we know you will keep an eye on that very closely for us, Steve. Thank you very much. We'll come back to you live as soon as something happens. Meantime, listen to this.
My administration will be working together with community members, faith leaders, advocates, and state police to help people move there today. Our top priority is public safety, and we need to take this opportunity to lower the temperature now.
Well, that is New Jersey's Democratic Governor Mikey Sherrill finally bringing in the state police to help calm the area. Let's bring in former acting DHS Secretary Chad Wolf to help us unpack this picture that we're watching unfold out in New Jersey. Chad, welcome to the program. So she just announced a protest zone around the Delaney Center facility. State police has finally been brought in after we saw so many scuffles this week back and forth. Why did it take so long for this Democratic governor to bring in law enforcement?
Yeah, it's a great question. She should have done this really on day one. If you establish a protest zone.
Yeah, you always love, dude, it's great. You know the governor of a blue state is doing a great job when Fox News is like, well, you know, she's finally doing a great job. Why didn't she do this from the start? You know, that's how you know. That's how you know the governor has the constituents in mind with these decisions. Okay?
And then you have local police there that are enforcing that. That allows ICE, obviously, to withdraw a little bit. It allows them not to have their officers front and center, and local police can do that job. That's something that a lot of us, you know, for months had hoped Minneapolis would do during that in January and February.
Sounds like ICE is taking yet another L after shockingly failing to do anything but making a mess. What's it mean when NJSB recognizes the state patrol, like the New Jersey State Police, okay, which is probably one of the most aggressive forms. I mean, it is the most aggressive form of law enforcement in the state, saying ICE was the one who was provoking violence and not the protesters, even though they said this. And then the next night, because this was yesterday, the next night, the state troopers themselves were the ones who were doing the violence. So, or sorry, last night they were the ones who were doing the violence, from what I understand, and today as well.
Focus is to allow
What's the ETA?
for peaceful assembly through the creation of these designated areas to assemble.
Mine is
and
closer. Mine is getting
The
closer.
impediments to our roadways while
This is why I
de-escalating
also
tensions
ordered mine.
in these areas. Once we delineate these zones, our posture would then focus on maintaining a peaceful environment. It is also important to note that while we establish these zones, our local ICE agents and partners have agreed to remove themselves from the immediate area, decreasing potential agitation from the protesters. We will continue to monitor this environment, continue to keep our public safety in the forefront of everything we do, and provide a peaceful environment for all. Thank you.
Dude needs a throat lozenge. My God. Yeah.
They didn't do that. So it's good that the governor's coming to this. It's several days late, unfortunately. What you see there is these protests getting more and more violent overnight.
See you on their side.
In the, after 10 p.m. And I think it's only a matter of time before someone gets seriously injured. And hopefully that won't occur. Hopefully by having local law enforcement in there, it will help. But, just as the governor says she wants to, reduce the temperature there, the things that she is doing, the things that her state is doing with sanctuary policies are doing anything but that. So she needs to match her actions with her words.
There's plenty of words being thrown out there and threats by these protesters. The governor makes no mention of the threats against these ICE officers, including this one. Watch this with me here, Chad.
I'll kill your whole family. Family's dead. Come on. Children, your wife. Punch it. My boy. I have your face, mother. You're dead. Dead.
And now prosecutors are going after this guy. The Justice Department just charged a rioter named Brendan John Gear, they say, for allegedly kicking and biting ICE officers at Delaney Hall last night. And they say we will not tolerate the vicious attacks on ICE officers we've seen in New Jersey the last few days. These rioters are clearly not peaceful protesters, as you can see from the photos and these horrific wounds. Assault a federal officer, you'll be held accountable. The president has come out and said he believes that these are paid protesters. What do you think, and who do you think is paying them?
Yeah, that's most likely what we see here, particularly as this, the events of Delaney Hall continue day after day after day. 1 or 2 days, it could just be simple protests, but after that, you start to see professionals move into the picture. That's when it becomes usually more violent, more organized, and that's what we see here. And it's not peaceful protesting. You may have a portion of that group that is not violent, but a portion certainly is. And then that's where law enforcement officers have to use the appropriate amount of force to make sure that they're not only protecting themselves, but they're protecting that facility as well. So what we see there at night is just what we saw in places like Seattle and Portland and Minneapolis, is that at night it starts to get very violent. And then that's where you need local police, ICE, and others working together to diffuse the situation. But, when I hear Governor Sherrill say that, that it's ICE, it's federal law enforcement that is antagonizing this day after day, she is blaming law enforcement for violent agitators. That's what's going on here. It's absolutely the wrong message I think it sends to folks in New Jersey and elsewhere. The police there and ICE there have a job to do. It is their facility. They are holding individuals that have broken immigration law. There's nothing that they're doing that is beyond the law. They have a job to do, and they need to do that.
Before we go, Chad, I just want everybody at home to see this. A lot of this started because there were complaints about what this ICE facility was feeding these illegal immigrants inside the facility. They were saying it was awful food, it was spoiled food. Our Alexis McAdams got a hold of the menu, and we'll put it up on the screen here. This is the Delaney Hall menu for today. And for breakfast, they had farina, which is like a cream of wheat, fried eggs, bread, coffee, milk. For lunch, they're having chicken salad. And for dinner, a variety of items: jambalaya, chicken patty, beef and bean burrito, Salisbury patty with gravy. Before we let you go, Chad, how are these ICE facilities treating these illegal immigrants?
Yeah, look, there are national standards for all of these ICE facilities, including Customs and Border Protection facilities as well. And these standards are at the highest than you will see at local jails or county jails, or even to some of the state penitentiaries as well. Very, very high standards. And then there are internal groups. There's 4 different groups inside DHS that go out and inspect these facilities. And then there are outside groups that go out and inspect these facilities. So this idea that somehow they're subpar conditions, or they're not, getting the right food, or they're not getting the right medical care. They even allow for mental health checks for some of the detainees. And so in many instances, these detainees there are getting some of the best health care that they have likely ever received in their life. And so when I hear that the facilities, this is from the left has done this years and years and years. It doesn't matter the facility, whether it's Delaney Hall or elsewhere. They will talk about how it's bad conditions, it's bad food, you're not getting medical care. That's not actually what they care about. They want these facilities closed. They don't believe anyone should be in detention. And just like the Biden administration, they want them all released on parole and into every American community.
Yeah, well, that's not happening under this administration. Chad Wolf, thank you for joining us on this breaking news. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay.
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube, and catch full shows streaming now on Fox 1.
Fox News Alert, you are looking at a live shot at Delaney Hall. That is where those anti-ICE protests have taken place. The crowd has been chanting, "No ICE, no fear." So far, the protest has been peaceful, but this comes after overnight a protester bit an ICE agent. That individual has been charged. So too has the protester who threatened the life and the family of an ICE officer as well. These protests have gotten boisterous, and we will continue to monitor them. Well, Karen Bass has a lot of questions to answer. A report from her own city administrative official shows they spent $418 million for homelessness a year. But just 10%, only 10%, went to getting people off the streets. Now, how does that happen? CNN asked her, and she had a bizarre assertion.
When you talked to Jake Tapper in 2023, you said that your goal was to end street homelessness in LA by 2026. It's now 2026.
And we haven't ended it.
We have not ended it, and we're not close to ending it. How are you so off?
I found something that surprised me. I found a lot of people who work internal in this system who were very resistant to ending street homelessness.
Who are those people? Well, meanwhile, Spencer Pratt is surging. A new poll has him narrowly leading Karen Bass, and now CNN is noticing.
His chances are up significantly over the last few months. You know, you go back a few months ago, February 26th, he had just a 7% chance. What is that? That's 5 plus 2. Now it's up like a rocket. Look, chances are he still won't be the next mayor of Los Angeles, but there's a pretty decent chance of it. It's now up over a quarter, a 27% chance. So those who dismiss Pratt's chances, well, you got another thing coming, because he's got a realistic shot of winning this thing.
Now, I had the opportunity to sit down with Spencer Pratt, and while he was with me, he learned in real time that California Governor Gavin Newsom had endorsed Karen Bass's reelection campaign. Here's my exclusive interview with Los Angeles mayor candidate Spencer Pratt. Let's bring in LA mayor candidate Spencer Pratt. Spencer, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
It's an honor, truly. I wanted to start by asking you about Gavin Newsom, who has chosen to endorse Karen Bass, citing an 18% decline in homelessness, dropping violent crime, and a stellar record, I guess, in the eyes of Newsom.
That must be breaking news, because I had not heard that. But it's not shocking, because they're alleged criminal partners. Not only did they work together in their negligence in burning down 7,000 houses and 12 people alive, but they're both complicit in laundering, what, $24 billion to actually increase homelessness. Newsom and Karen Bass make up stats. Those are not real numbers. Anybody with...
All right, I'm going to flip it. I don't have to show it for now.
Oh, yeah, we'll just show it down here.
Yeah. All right. Oh, you can show it.
Oh, okay. And we're missing it straight.
Hi. What's up, everybody? We're back. We are currently on our way to the Delaney ICE facility. We're going to be first linking up with Adam HAMAWY and his team. And we are joined by Dropsite, who was kind enough.
Do you want to be on camera?
Yeah.
Of course. Hello, I'm Jude. Hi, chat. What's going on?
Jude here probably doesn't know that I know that her and her friends were talking big shit.
I was not talking
about
shit.
Me.
Yo, listen.
I waited for this moment to be on camera, because we already linked up this morning at the rally, and I did the interview and whatnot, and I waited for this opportunity to be on camera to cook her, talking big shit.
You're very mistaken, Hasan.
Saying I'm counter-revolutionary.
That's a lie.
Saying I'm not a principled Leninist.
I didn't say that either.
That I'm a revisionist.
Listen, my co-host I have a podcast, The Periphery. Check it out.
Yeah.
Listen, my co-host is a self-avowed tanky. Like, she's a tanky. I'm
hear
just
that?
a socialist. I am the Hasan defender on this podcast.
Yeah.
Okay?
Well, your association with this avowed tanky who misunderstands my positions.
She really does, though. Like,
Yeah.
I ask her why she doesn't fuck with you, and she's like, I think it's just because you're a man.
That could be it. That could be the case.
Honestly, valid.
Yes,
I agree.
fair. Men are trash. I agree.
Nah, but then we were glazing your Lenin what is to be done
no,
picture.
you guys were making fun of me.
I took that picture.
Yeah, he took that. Which, by the way, that was bait.
We said we ate it up,
It was
and that it was
super-
a funny ass fucking thing to do.
It was obviously
Yeah.
super framed.
Yeah.
Or post staged.
Yeah, we did it. We did that on purpose, and
Of course.
it was obviously bait. And you clocked it, where you said it's so perfectly positioned
Right, yeah.
to center on the camera, and lo and behold, everybody in the entire political spectrum was like, "This is the worst thing I've ever seen. I need to kill you with a gun."
I mean, I've been saying we gotta read more, so I was excited about it.
Yeah. My favorite thing about people who are like, oh, you're an opportunist, or you're a tailist, or you're fucking revisionist, or whatever, is always when people who are to the left of the average person, let's say, will be like, you're bastardizing Lenin. And it's like, I mean, I'm a fan, but I also understand that the average American, or the average person in general, in the Western world especially, thinks that Lenin is responsible for the death of
60 billion people.
Yeah, 700 gorillion people. So I don't think most people are like, wow, I can't believe he's an unprincipled Leninist. He's bastardizing his leftcom critique and is actually engaging in bourgeois politics.
Yeah, I mean, listen, the episode where we talked about you, we had Lily Agla on, and she is also a tanky, self-described.
They call me a tanky too.
Yeah, no, me too. But I was talking about how, like,
Also, you're making sure that we're going to the right spot, right?
I'm not.
You're not? Wait, what did you put down as the address?
What was given to us.
Oh, then that's fine. That's the right spot.
But I mean, I'm holding a camera. I'm not making sure we're going to the right spot.
Okay.
But it looks like we're going to the
Yeah,
right
we're
spot.
here. We're here. This is or no, not this. Sorry, I'm saying that location is.
Yeah, around the corner here.
Yeah, is that them?
It is. I think.
Is that group the? Yeah, that might be.
Yeah,
it, right?
can you just drop us off over there?
Yeah.
Or across the street. Yeah.
You have to go across the street.
Yeah, we have to go across the street. Yeah.
Yeah, no, they call me a revisionist for defending DSA to some extent.
Of course.
Okay.
Of course.
Thank you.
Any sort of engagement with elections.
Hi, chat.
Love her though.
Masked up and goggled up.
We have our masks in our pockets, but we're
Okay.
not goggled.
Ben is going to give you a little preview.
Wait. Okay. We're not on camera?
That's just for 1 second.
Okay.
Okay.
Hold on 1 second.
All right, chat. You're with Uncle Marchie again.
Cam.
You're with Uncle Marchie right now. Sure. Yeah. Go for it. Yeah. Hold on, chat. I'm pulling you up. I'm pulling that shit up. Really mad secrets. Yeah. What the fuck? Why can't I talk? Why can't I be in the secrets? How we doing? You guys excited? I'm gonna go get smacked around a little bit by some fucking chuds. Been a minute since we've done that, eh? If anybody asks, chat, if any federal agents or law enforcement asks, Mauricio March Miranda is of Asian descent, American citizen, been here for many, many generations, my family, and they're Asian and white. Okay? I don't even speak a second language. Okay, this is taking too long. See, I don't like when this happens. In the nicest way possible. Everybody we're working with is incredible. Love them. They've all been amazing. But there is just like always a lack of understanding that like when we're live, and downtime like this doesn't play good on live streams. How you feeling, Jude?
I'm good. I'm chilling. This is
Oh
my
God,
bread
it's
and
still
butter
so
here.
blown out. Sorry. Okay, there we go. I didn't realize I was making it brighter.
Yeah, is your shit?
What?
This is your shit?
Yeah.
What do we do?
It's very fun for me.
I don't feel like I'm wearing the mask properly. It's fine, right? But then how do I equip it? How do I put it on my? How do I take it out of my inventory and equip it?
Why'd you tighten it so much?
I don't know. I have a small head.
You're gonna choke yourself.
I don't actually have that small of a head.
It's still
Press
way
E.
too tight.
Press E. Okay, they're saying press E to equip.
Bruh.
Do I have to take it off?
No.
Did I fuck it up?
No, you're good. You tightened it a lot.
Oh, that goes around my head.
Correct.
Oh.
Smart boy.
Oh.
Like
okay,
that.
got it. Okay, thank you. Hell yeah. Use your E muscle. Yeah, GTRP. Wow. Okay. Okay, he's coming back. Ow.
Right here. Sure, you put it.
Good to see you. I don't really do actually know who I am.
What's good, brother?
How's it going, Hassan?
What's up, man?
Nice to meet you. I'm with South Jersey DSA.
Hell yeah.
All right.
This is the guy who we think.
Yeah. Well, I got some aid. We normally, look, one of the most beautiful aspects of participating in protests like this is the unbelievable amounts of mutual aid that takes place. It's really interesting, of course, they try to criminalize that kind of behavior as well. There's been people that have been arrested in Los Angeles for giving others masks and things of that nature, face shields, stuff like that. But ultimately, when you go out there, there's always people with carriers that have, bottles of water, against tear gas, sometimes even milk, masks.
Well, that was what was really interesting about last night when the state police pushed out and removed the medical tent. And then they pushed out past the second point where we moved all the supplies to. ICE came and sprayed pepper spray all over our supplies, so all the medical equipment was destroyed.
Yeah.
So, like I said, all done, like you said, all mutual aid.
Yeah, but it is like the safest I feel usually, and I try to explain this to people who are watching from home. One of the things I try to do always is to be not behind the police line, but in front of it where the people are. And in my experience, the safest you always feel is when you're in the crowd, as opposed to when you're closer to the police. And that's really interesting for someone who's never participated in something like this before. The assumption is like, police are there to save you, police are there to protect you. And you have a very different attitude when you're in a situation like this, where you very quickly realize that it's actually antagonistic. Like their relationship with the people participating and exercising their First Amendment rights is always antagonistic, always the exact opposite of what you would expect.
You're gonna see as we make the left over here that the Essex County Sheriff has detained someone sitting on the
would expect.
You're gonna see as we make the left over here that the Essex County Sheriff has detained someone sitting on the ground there and wouldn't let him leave. This is sort of what we're saying is every single day the situation is different because a different agency comes in and starts making arrests. Whether it be the CERT agents through the GEO group, whether it be ICE, the state police, and now the Newark police and the Essex County Sheriff's Office.
Yeah, it's also a real shame to see a blue state like this
capitulate.
Where, I mean, the argument that I hear from Fox News and other right-wing forces is, oh, it took too long for you to do the right thing. And you never want the MAGA movement and their propagandists to be agreeing to any action that you're taking, because it's very clearly an action that you're taking against your constituents. It's a real shame.
Well, what I hear happened last night is that they are saying that the protesters are the one who threw the tear gas.
Yes.
When it's clearly on tape and documented that it's, they were just standing there.
The Attorney General put out a statement saying that we were firing tear gas and fireworks at people as if they are not the ones who were firing the flares and tear gas at us, and then kettled from the back, and then were firing over the crowd they were trying to disperse. So everyone got sandwiched and tear gassed together and we couldn't get out.
And so that's why it's important to be on the ground.
To see what is going on.
happening rather than start perpetuating the same disinformation. about who's you know, being the antagonist.
What's happening right now is the state police and governor's office is giving briefings that are entirely false to legislators so they can spin on her behalf.
Yeah, this is exactly what I saw. What is that? No, I think it's just trash. This is exactly what I saw at the UCLA student encampments as well. Those are some of the best organized protest movements I've ever been a part of, that I've ever observed. And yet, right now, Harmeet Dillon, the civil rights attorney for the Department of Justice, is currently trying to open up a new case against the UCLA students, even though they were unbelievably peaceful and they got attacked. And the police stood by as the counter-protesters, Zionist counter-protesters, came, not from the school, mind you, but from the surrounding neighborhoods, to brutalize these kids that were protesting against Israel's genocide in Gaza. And they used fireworks, they opened up fireworks on the student campus, they brutalized them, they beat them with 2x4s. And then the police waited until, you know, they got their licks in, and then came in and prosecuted and arrested the students themselves. And now the Department of Justice is trying to further prosecute and criminalize the students that were already apprehended and arrested and detained under the Biden administration. It's totally ridiculous. And if I hadn't seen it with my own two eyes, if we hadn't documented it, it's super easy to fall for the mainstream media narrative, unfortunately. And the reality is the mainstream media narrative oftentimes is not siding with the protesters, but siding with the state, siding with the police, and taking their version of events unconditionally.
Yep.
So that's why I try to do this sort of participation.
So who's been on the ground here so far? Like in terms of lawmakers, people who are actually like standing, observing, and getting the truth versus those who are just spreading that. So who's been here so far?
Representative Ana Lilia Mejia, Representative MacGyver, and you know, I will call out Representative Menendez, who slept on the ground last night or a few nights ago to try to get access to Martín Soto, because he made a promise to Martín's wife, who was pregnant, that he would find her or find him. We've had a significant amount of state legislators here, from Senate Majority Leader Teresa Ruiz and others, but those who never reached the ground are now the ones spreading the governor's office misinformation.
Right. And I remember Senator Kim here when I was
Senator Kim was pepper sprayed, stood between the protesters and the ICE agents, and the ICE agents hit him and pepper sprayed him.
That's crazy.
It's absolutely ridiculous.
Right back.
They didn't care one bit, and they knew who he was, because he was going back and forth all day.
Yeah, that's another problem. Like, look, I always, I wish we lived in a world where police would create the environment of safety and security, but unfortunately we don't live in that world currently. It's a real shame, because I feel like with proper accountability, we could live in such a world. And yet, a lot of our state officials, a lot of our government rarely ever does what is necessary to ensure that accountability, to ensure that police are protecting constituents that are exercising their First Amendment rights and protesting against, I mean, horrifying things that our government is currently doing.
Everyone here, the police officers, have consistently been responsible for every form of escalation.
And again, this all started a little over a week ago because the detainees were on hunger strike and labor strike, right? Refusing to work.
We're going on to the right side.
They were facing inside, right? They have like food that has rotted. They have worms and maggots in them. They don't have the proper medical care. And this has just gone on for so long that they said they're not going to do it anymore. And then they targeted one of the ones that had started it, was Martín Soto, and then they wanted to transfer him out just to sort of separate them all, so not him but some of the others, and they started moving them out of the facility. And this is a tactic that they have, is they take them and then they send them to other states as well, and it takes a while to even find out where they turned out. And so the protesters all came out here in solidarity with them, with Congressman Menendez last on that was last Sunday.
Yeah.
And it's just gotten worse since then.
Yeah. Every night has been different of the tactics of escalation. Every night, it's like a different war.
As we're coming closer to the facility, you can start smelling the expended shells and remnants of tear gas. You know, it's a real bummer. I don't know what else to say other than it's a real fucking
exhausting. And you know what we saw yesterday was the state police and ICE joined together. ICE joined the ranks behind the state police, were firing their pepper bullets directly at people, while state police charged their horses at people, fired rubber bullets at organizers. And I think the most exhausting piece is that Mikey keeps repeating that she talked to organizers on the ground to support her efforts of de-escalation. No one knew what was going on until 5 minutes before state police charged at us.
Yeah. What time was that?
It was at around 9:30, 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
They did it so they could allow the shift change for ICE. And during that chaotic period, we also saw ambulances come out with unconscious detainees inside who were clearly being beaten. What we heard earlier in the day was that they were tear gassing inside the facility and beating detainees.
Jesus.
So, the recommendation here is for us to walk over on the opposite side, as it's going to get pretty busy over here. But it's up to you.
I don't mind. Whatever you guys think is best.
So, I mean, they kind of have this blocked off, so we should veer this way at some point. Maybe right here.
Oh, you want to go through here?
Just quickly, because there's gates that are going to block us. And so, this facility here, this gas plant, is run by the same company that pushed the Keystone XL pipeline in Standing Rock.
The North Dakota Access Pipeline.
Yeah, North Dakota, sorry. Too many pipelines.
No, Standing Rock is the right
one.
That's what it was.
Can we get you in here and come this way?
What?
We could just keep walking.
Yeah.
Just keep walking.
For sure. This is good.
This way, let's go around. Okay, right here is our medic tent. Right here. We had to rapidly move from the family side. And you can see a lot of mutual aid supplies.
Yeah. What's good, guys? What's happening?
You missed the Proud Boys.
It's good.
It's good. Good to see you, my friend.
This is the south gate where they've been making transfers from. You may have seen a lot of the videos of the lights flickering and people jumping. That's going to be on this side. Stay careful here because there is a family visitation tent right over there. What we have seen over and over is the CERT agents who are Geo Group private employees come out and terrorize people. Okay. So this is a Geo Group facility.
Okay. Yeah.
So, Piker, do you want to comment on your recent
what?
subpoena?
Well, Fox News Digital says I have a subpoena, but I've yet to be served one. So I don't even know what's going on. Kind of feels like you guys have more insight into what the federal government's doing than I do, and I'm supposed to be subpoenaed.
We're just going to stay in here.
Give him a little room, guys. Give him a little room. You mentioned about the foreign money coming in, the Never Rise network.
Yeah.
Do you want to comment on the foreign networks, the finance?
This facility.
No, I'm good, man. Thank you.
Yeah. So this facility, like I said, is run by the GEO Group, who is now the acting director of ICE, was a former executive here. As Adam said, you were saying that the conditions are deplorable.
Yeah. No medical care in there. The food is spoiling. It's like got worms and maggots coming out of them, and they just have been in there for months, waiting for a status change on what's happening to them. And again, this is the condition not just at this facility, but so many others.
There's also, from what I understand, a miscarriage that took place, and some of the victims in horrifying conditions are getting moved around without people having any accounting for where they go. So
that was the case with Martin Soto, the organizer of this. The other day, he was secretly transferred to the Elizabeth Detention Center, which is about 15 minutes down the road, which actually has no access to light. Representative Menendez came out within 15 minutes and said that they were trying to coerce him with deportation papers and charged him with assault. Those are the same things that Representative MacGyver were charged with the last time Ras Baraka was arrested about a year ago, mayor of Newark.
Yeah. It's devastating. All right, should we go back over there?
Yes.
I feel like we're causing a little bit of a commotion here.
Hello, everyone.
Yeah,
it's a lot. This is what I was talking about.
Yeah.
So, So, I do want to show real quick that the GEO Group has removed visitation from these families. They have no access to their family members inside. They have removed the benches that families have been waiting outside with. Also, electronic communication has been removed. Access to the commissary has ended. Access to medicine has ended. Sometimes it takes 2 weeks after a report to reach emergency services, but let's go this way.
All right, yeah.
Remember, he's here to trick you into voting for the party that sent the state police here. That's his purpose.
We're totally against Governor Cheryl. This is going to be her last term, so.
That's not. What do you think about her detention? She calling peacekeepers are beating the shit out of her.
Of course, fucking bullshit. Same thing that Karen Bass did in fucking California.
I want to know whose side am I on. She's a one-term governor.
So this is where the free speech zone was yesterday.
This is?
Do you see where the chalk was over here? They had this set up. No one was truly in it because the free speech zone prevented you from blocking transfers, which is why people are here, to prevent people from being detained and deported. This is where, right about this point, is where ICE joined the state police and started firing on people.
I've also heard reports from Annalia May's visit where she was talking about how some of the people that are still detained are actually people who have already signed off on their self-deportation notices, and they're just still being kept in these facilities in an unjust manner.
Because they do not want the detainees organizing and speaking about the conditions inside.
It's fucking terrible.
Which is exactly why this hunger strike, this labor strike, this slave strike, because they're working for less than $1 a day, has spread across the country.
Being retaliated. Other facilities are doing the same thing?
Yes, in Texas and in other places. There are now over 500 detainees who are part of this, 300 at this facility. Like I said, this is a slave strike.
How can anybody look at this situation and think like, no, this is good and it should continue? I don't understand that.
Now, have the lawmakers had access inside? Like when they've gone in, have they been able to
lawmakers?
State or
no,
federal?
State lawmakers have not.
Menendez was behind that fence. They let him behind the fence for like 12 hours. And they wouldn't let him in. He stayed there. He kept checking in with Gabby.
But he couldn't go inside and see the facilities.
He wouldn't get the whereabouts. He wanted to get eyes
or the
on
condition. Yep.
And they would not do it.
So no part of the
Constitution. They snuck him out. They snuck the guy out.
So no federal oversight at all.
There were multiple times where vehicles were coming out that we thought they might be sneaking him out, and the crowd stopped and pushed him back. But at some point, they got him out, and that's why he's not.
No part of the Constitution. No part of the Constitution has been followed here. I'm not sure what they're asking.
I don't know. Maybe we're crowding over here. We can just go to a different spot.
Why don't we?
It's like, no, that's all right. Where should we? Okay.
Would you like to? Would you like to speak to some people here?
Sure. What? Yeah. You got it.
So you have some stuff about the New Yorkers who are detained inside?
Yeah, it's what we're seeing here unfold is just a tiny glimpse of what's happening, not just here in New Jersey at Delaney Hall, but what's happening across the country. And we have over 60 New Yorkers who are detained in this facility. And this just illustrates the complicity of not just local government, where you see your New Jersey State Police here, who beat the life out of people last night and did 10 times worse than what was happening the nights before with just ICE. This is just another state-sanctioned violent action against people who are fighting for their rights. So this is just a call to whoever's watching this. This is your opportunity to stand up and fight back. And you can do that by showing up. If you're on the East Coast, come to Delaney Hall, show up at protests in your communities, and demand that the US government, and specifically your congressional members, do not fund another penny to ICE, DHS, or CBP. Right now they're trying to negotiate a reconciliation package to give ICE an additional $70 billion after giving them $170 billion to detain more people in this country. Take back the money of the $170 billion and don't give them another penny. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And on top of that, this is a for-profit prison, so we're paying them to keep these detainees in there in these horrible conditions.
Paying them for what? To hold them in a facility, and then using them to maintain the facility, using detainees' labor to maintain the facility. Geo Group, that funded the Trump administration, received a $1 billion contract to run this facility. So it's injustice on top of injustice, sandwiched within corruption.
And we're
Geo Group
paying for
CEO.
them.
How much did you say?
It's $10 million a day we're paying for all these facilities. 10 million, so that's 15 billion a year.
Yeah. It was the Geo Group CEO that had that the phone call with the with all of their stakeholders, with all their shareholders, that said, "Oh, it's going to be unbelievably beneficial for us. The Trump administration is going to basically revitalize our entire industry." And I guess he was right. I mean, it's incredibly devious, but I mean, it's demonic, really. But this is how, I mean, we are one of the only countries on the planet, if not the only country, if I'm not mistaken, that actually has a concept such as for-profit prison systems. So, and this is the result of that. This is the result of that reality. But here, look, one of the things that I saw when I was in Minneapolis was the fact that when people did actually show up, they were able to defeat the Trump administration's attempts to basically occupy an American state and try to punish a blue state and a blue city, and send thousands of their unaccountable masked agents of the state to go and create an environment of fear. And when people pushed back, they actually did win that battle.
There's more and more people coming here every day, so that's, you know, they're having the opposite effect.
Organized people beats fascism every single day.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Let's keep walking.
All right.
Mr. Plager, what was the purpose of your trip to Cuba?
Deliver humanitarian aid.
Do you think you broke any laws doing that?
No, I don't.
Can you tell me about you mentioned it in your Twitch during the week about the funding that comes to these left-wing organizations, the Neville Roy Singham network. Can you comment on that?
You know, and as someone whose family was from Cuba and survived the Armenian genocide and escaped to Cuba, what's happening there is it's egregious, and I honestly think
it's horrifying. It's horrible to see. It's horrible to see in real time. Like, American foreign policy, especially the sanctions regime that we have in Cuba, is designed to be invisible, right? Yep. So the culpability is supposed to be not in the hands of the American state that's like rendering trade impossible for this foreign country that's 90 miles off of our coastline, but instead it's to create this environment where it's communism's fault. It's actually government mismanagement that has caused so much destruction of the state capacity. And then you go there and you see it. You talk to these people. I talk to ordinary Cubans. I talk to doctors. I talk to members of the government as well, and researchers, academics. And one of the things that I saw very quickly was that even when you read about the terror that the sanctions regime has brought upon the Cuban population, going there and talking to these people in real time, you develop a very different understanding, because it's so insidious. It's baked into every single experience that Cuban citizens have. It's not just the oil blockade. A lot of people obviously have been focusing on the oil blockade element of it, because Donald Trump, in his bravado and his vulgar way of communicating some of the actions that the government takes,
came out and straight up said, we are going to implement an oil blockade, which made that whole invisible process very visible for everyone. But basically, when that took place, a lot of people started focusing on the fact that the energy grid was collapsing as a direct consequence. But even before then, there were many issues. What are they saying?
Why don't we take a moment?
Oh, you want to leave?
Well, should we go check maybe the front a little bit? I think
sure. Yeah, I don't like that either.
Why don't we real quick go to the front line, take a look at what that looks like?
Can you read their demands?
Yeah. Oh yeah, let's do that.
The demands of the people inside the detention center.
Okay, so I'm gonna put it on Do Not Disturb so your notifications don't get shown on phone. All right, what are the Delaney Hall hunger strikers demanding? Many people have questions about what is happening inside of Delaney Hall. The detainees on hunger strike have stated that their demands are, number one, to meet with the governor. They want to meet with Governor Mickey Sherrill to go inside of the facility and meet the actual detainees. Number two, they want the release of the medically vulnerable people. They demand the immediate release of those with serious medical conditions. Number three, release young and elderly detainees. They demand the immediate release of young and elderly people. And number four, freedom. We're not striking to demand better conditions and treatment. We're doing this to demand our freedom. And they've said that they're going to continue the strike until they get heard. The hunger strike is not about improving the conditions of the facility necessarily, but to meet these demands.
Most recently, they want medical attention for members in 2A and B who were the targets of retaliation.
So one of the biggest problems here, of course, is the media isn't really covering the whole story, right?
Yeah.
They're just covering the little tidbits when they start pepper spraying everyone and saying that it's the protesters that are causing it.
Yeah.
But you see on the ground, all they're doing is chanting, standing at a good distance, not really causing any trouble at all.
Yeah. The chanting is to make sure that we are heard inside because they can hear us.
Yeah.
And that's why you've seen the clips of clapping and cheering inside.
Yeah.
Because it gives them hope. They haven't eaten in 7-8 days, and they need some type of hope after they are being beaten and brutalized inside.
Yeah.
And as you can see right now, the Essex County Police Department is defending ICE. And this is what we talk about as a police state.
Not a sanctuary
state? It is a sanctuary state, and also we're not supposed to have any masks. We passed a law that says they can't do that. The entire time ICE has been masked, running out of the street, tasing people over here, shoving their faces into the train tracks while these are moving trains.
Detaining them, leaving them on random street corners.
Yeah.
And now Meg has been here for over a year and is running for council in Plainfield, cross-endorsed with Adam. Do you have anything?
I think the biggest thing is we need to make sure the focus here is not the protest, it's the demands of the detainees and their families.
Yeah.
They want an end to coercive forced deportation orders. There is no transparency. And the violence that is out here, this is what they're doing outside, so I can only imagine what they're doing to them inside. We hear horrible reports, there are people unconscious, they just tear gassed them yesterday, they're going door to door. Like, the biggest thing is just to make sure that the focus is on the families.
So we're here uplifting the voice of the detainees and their families and what they're asking for.
And it looks like they're getting ready to.
They're getting ready.
Yeah, they brought horses. They brought like trucks with horses.
They're ready to charge this crowd that we could see again, or just standing here.
Correct. We didn't. Yesterday was the most peaceful day, and the cops came this way, beating us with horses, and ICE started shooting rubber bullets from that way.
I literally came and texted my friends, "Wow, this is weird. It's really relaxed." In 15 minutes.
It's usually how it goes, though.
Yeah, it's calm before the storm.
There's a moment of respite right before they strike, oftentimes, unfortunately. At least in my experience. All right, well, if you guys wanna go, That's fine. Some people may like that. We'll probably also move out of here because we are causing a little bit of a commotion. I don't like that. I don't want to be the center of, you know, what's going on here.
Mr. Piker, would you debate my colleague HasanAbi?
What I was going to say is, I was going to talk to Drop Site if you want to do that, and then before we head out.
Piker, will you debate her?
HasanAbi?
Yeah,
oh yeah, sure. That's my biggest fan. He's my #1 fan. Sits around in my stream all day and watches me. Yes, of course. Here, you're at Fox News. Sean Hannity said he wanted to debate me. I immediately agreed. And it's really interesting because recently he got back to my team and said, actually, we're going to push that to a later date. We were supposed to have debated by now. I'm still very excited at the prospect, very excited at the opportunity. The spirited debate is very good, you know. Testing the mettle of your arguments with your interlocutors is how we do democracy. So very stoked on that. And I do respect Sean Hannity for pushing back on his co-host on his radio show when she said, "Why are you platforming Hasan? You should be ripping his throat out with your hands instead." And he was like, "That's ridiculous." It is a little bit ridiculous, I'll be honest. But, you know, I have my hyperbolic moments too, who cares? But yeah, like I said, I'm perfectly...
Two debates, HasanAbi and Sean Hannity.
Lock it in. Azra,
make it happen, right?
Yeah, I'll debate Azra after Sean Hannity agrees to the debate that he wanted to do.
All right, no problem. Will you speak about the foreign influence, the money that's coming from China? And
the thing is, so here's what happened with that. Manhattan Institute and Azra herself as well reported on something that is publicly available information that you can get off of a Wikipedia page. I don't know why there's this environment of suspicion, or this environment that takes this sinister shape for some reason when we're talking about things that are totally above board and totally legal. I don't have any personal contact with Roy Singham or any of these other people. I mean, I know some of these people. They're wonderful people in general. They're activists. I don't know anything beyond what is readily available information, but none of it is actually hidden or.
Hey, Hasan.
And protesters in particular. I feel like that's not great, especially considering that Donald Trump said he was going to end cancel culture, he was actually going to end wokeism, and that he was the free speech president. I feel like there are a lot of people who believed in that message, and now he's betrayed that message. But then again, he also said he was the anti-war president, and we found ourselves in a litany of different, you know, there are some elements of what Donald Trump has said in spirit that are agreeable. The idea that we shouldn't be waging unnecessary wars and foreign entanglements, and instead we should spend, in the wealthiest country on the planet, all this money on ourselves. And, you know, I think that we can unite around that message if people genuinely do believe it.
Do you think that communism undermines the United States? That's what many people, what critics have.
I think people are allowed to believe whatever they want to believe. That's the American spirit, baby.
I just finally on the Sabina, you said you haven't heard anything about it.
No.
Yeah, son, I got
No.
I'm the chairman of the Black Panther Party in North New Jersey.
Okay, what's up, man?
Hey, what do you think? How do we solve this right here? How do we solve these issues right here in the community?
Keep showing up. Keep showing up. Keep. Look, we live under at least a theoretical democracy. There's supposed to be a democratic process. Sometimes people make decisions. Sometimes they disagree with the previous decisions that they've made, even if they voted for a particular party or a person. And when things like this are happening, when we have people that are being unjustly detained, people that are simply waiting for their court dates, or people who are already at their court dates, what's wrong?
People waiting for their court date or at their court date.
You want me to move?
Stay focused. You good. You good, my boy.
Hey, Adam.
Hey, you heard me? Stay focused. You good. You good. But the people that's what you call it? Like you, Hasan, stay with me, baby. Ain't nobody coming. They're not coming to do nothing on us. You listen. I ask you a serious question. It's like
yeah, you demonstrate.
Most people
you demonstrate. You try to get your demands to be heard.
No, I don't have demands. Stay focused. Stay with me.
No, not your demands. I'm saying their demands. There are demands that are being made inside of this facility by people who have been unjustly detained inside in heinous conditions.
And how we solve this? How do we solve this?
They keep protesting, and we keep showing support for them with the hopes that eventually eventually it gets to a point where these institutions that are doing this violence feel a sense of accountability and they change what they're doing.
And you're a socialist, right? You're a socialist. That's what
Yeah, not to get dangerous.
That's what it says.
Hassan, you said socialist people that capitalist club. What did that mean? What did he mean when he said socialist people that capitalist club?
You know why I asked you that question? Because you're a fucking fraud. Hey, yo, all these people following you and shit, you're a fucking fraud. Get the fuck out of here.
What did he mean when he said America deserved 9/11? What did he mean when he said America deserved 9/11? What's going on, man? How you doing? What did he mean when he said America deserved 9/11?
I think that it's called a pretty simple concept called blowback. That's what I was talking about. I've already mentioned what I meant in 2019.
Do you support violence against ICE officers?
No, I do not. I do not support violence at all. I'm a peaceful person.
Okay.
I love peace.
What about the Antifa member that bit an ICE officer's arm yesterday? Do you condemn
What
that?
about this?
That sounds
What
pretty
about
crazy.
the ICE officer who bruised me yesterday, who beat us on the ground? What about the ones
the
who
Antifa
pepper
member
sprayed us
who
in
bit
the
an ICE officer's arm yesterday?
What about the,
I have no idea what you're
ICE
talking about.
officers who pepper
You
sprayed me
said
in the
soak
eye
the
on
streets in
Monday?
capitalist blood. What did that mean?
It's called LARPing.
What does that mean? Should people take
Live
it
action?
seriously?
ICE officers in pain. Come on.
Just hyperbole amongst
You
friends.
say hyperbole a lot, but when are you being serious versus hyperbolic?
Fuck you, fuck Twitch!
You got to make that decision on your own.
So it's really, if you get blowback, you just say you're being sarcastic or
Really, I think there's a lot of blowback to virtually everything that I'm saying. Unfortunately, by the likes of people like yourself, it is what it is. It happens.
Are you taking
have
responsibility for your words?
No, not at all.
He's never done that.
Okay, Timu Nick Shirley, that's enough.
All right.
Let's move on.
Well, nice to meet
Move
you.
on. Thank you.
Did you work with the Cuban government?
You're
It
excused.
gets more preposterous
Hassan,
as
did
you
you
go
work
on,
with
you know?
the Cuban
You
government?
can't entertain them at all, otherwise they
Hassan,
just
are you-
start
I would have
making things up, you know?
expected a sense of charitability,
Yeah,
but
no.
Hassan, did you
It turns
work
out-
with the Cuban government?
do you guys have a vehicle out here that we can
Hassan,
take
can I show you
advantage
what
of?
we
Got it
chain?
over there somewhere.
Hassan.
Yeah.
We can break the chain.com.
Are you working with the Cuban
Stop
government?
Israel arms going through New York and New Jersey. Fuck Twitch. We can break the chain. Break the
Yes or
chain.
no? Are you working with
Fuck
the Cuban
Twitch and
government?
fuck you. You fucking view powder. Yeah, you abuse your dog? That's crazy, bro.
Call us the
Yo,
crazy
your
dog.
dog got a shot collar? Your dog got a shot collar?
One of the unfortunate problems that exists with this kind of coverage is that there are a lot of wonderful people out there who want to do right, by others, and then there are opportunists. There are opportunists who want to make a name for themselves,
That's all it is.
and they try to do ridiculous nonsense like this.
Hassan, you said soak the streets
But-
in capitalist
Let him
blood.
breathe. Let your dog breathe, bro.
You know,
You said
It's
America
unfortunate
deserved
that people
9/11.
try
Rights
to
too.
change
Animals
the
deserve
message
rights too, brother.
from the voices of the
Animals
detainees
deserve rights
about
too.
themselves.
It's just that
That's
their,
what we're seeing here.
their minds are so twisted that they think other people are the same way.
yeah. Well, the thing is,
Rob people, right?
it doesn't even make sense.
Rob people, right?
It doesn't even make sense that there's no sense or sensibility to the message.
Hassan, why won't you answer my
And it
question?
actually, unironically, makes the people screaming like this look very strange.
Why are you telling people to rob people?
But
They can't.
a lot of people don't have any sort of. A lot of people don't have any
Give me my mic,
understanding.
give me my mic.
You know.
That was pretty easy.
Why would you abuse your dog, though?
Kind of just remove the wind.
Why would you abuse your dog? You know you abuse his dog.
You jack him?
His dog is a nice dog, doesn't abuse anyone. Only
You know
people
he
abusing are the ones around us right now.
Okay, in
so-
public, freedom of speech is an abuse? Freedom of speech is an abuse? Fuck Twitch and fuck you. Go back to the desktop. We really do IRL. Go home. Go home.
What?
Did you say somebody should kill Charlie
Dog
Kirk?
abuser!
You didn't say that?
No, I was about to debate Charlie Kirk. Why the fuck would I want anybody to kill him? I was supposed to. I was supposed to debate Charlie. Listen, I know this is a difficult concept for you to understand, but I was actually supposed to debate Charlie Kirk 2 weeks prior to his assassination. Obviously, I have a very different method of going about things than the way that you're trying to present it, because
if that was my mentality, I would never try to debate him. Charlie respected that. And it's really sad to see the rest of the remnants of the conservative movement refusing to carry the flame in the way that Charlie Kirk wanted it to be carried. I, on the other hand, do carry that flame because we are Charlie Kirk.
Discussing things like America deserves
We carry the
9/11.
flame.
By saying
We fight for the
discussing things
gospel.
Like America deserves 9/11.
We honor his name.
By working with the
Do you
Cuban
know those
government.
words? Do you internalize those words? You should.
Charlie Kirk is used inspiration, and he didn't work with the Cuban
He's
government.
an inspiration
Did
to me
you work
too.
With the Cuban government.
He inspired us all.
Why won't you say
Certainly
anything
myself.
about your involvement with the Cuban government?
I mean, you're making shit up. What do you want me to say? Like,
did you work with the
Hi.
Cuban government? Are you conspiring with the Cuban government?
No, dude. What the fuck are you talking about? It's like you have nuclear. Are you 2 weeks away from having nuclear arms?
If he asks enough times, maybe you'll like change your mind or something.
Are you? I have a good authority that you are 2 weeks away from developing nuclear arms. Why won't you respond?
Exactly.
More testosterone.
And then when you destroy it, you want to destroy it again.
Yeah. I literally he said something about him sucking cock, and he immediately went to my mustache.
Why are you here? What do you think that man's teeth
As for his...
Did you use a stock collar on your dog?
No, but I can put one on you if you want with your BDSM getup.
Would you prefer to go to prison in Cuba or America? Would you
Are
like
you
to go to prison in
are
Cuba
you a
or
Benny
America?
Johnson? I feel like, look, you said,
mustache?
What a nonsensical one.
you said,
Can you hear that? Look,
you
why is
said
your guy getting violent?
you were
Why is your guy trying to steal my mic?
violent?
Get out of here.
He's giving you a comment. That's
Get
not
outta
violent.
here.
Why are you
Well,
so
he's trying to block
soft?
my mic.
Yeah, because
Right,
you're
that's not
fucking
violent.
following
Not
someone,
even cool.
dickhead.
Seems like we don't want to talk to you.
What was your comment?
Do you do this
Would
to
you like
women?
to do prison
Do
in
you do this
America?
to women
Would
who
you like
don't
to go
want
to
to talk
prison
to you?
in
I would like to
America?
do
or
prison
Cuba?
in
To women
zero
who don't want to
places.
talk to you?
Prison in
Do you
America
do
or
this to
Cuba?
women who
I would
don't
like
want
to do
talk
prison
you?
in zero places. I would not like to go to prison.
Shorts over there. I'm not
That's my take.
Why are you staring at his ass?
Fucking 3-inch shorts.
Oh my god, you do have the booty shorts.
This guy's right up on your ass. You good?
A lot of gay comments over here. I'm trying to understand the concept
Why
here.
you, HasanAbi, why are you supporting him? He's pro-military. What's up with that?
Oh my god. We have literally, we have the fucking schizos of every spectrum today. Oh my lord. Oh my. We're gonna go with them first. The difference in the organized protests in Los Angeles is that there's a massive mobilization, and it's usually organized like by local advocacy orgs too, as opposed to this one is more like a patchwork and probably like rapid response. But so for that reason, it was mostly like there was a lot of media there, and also on top of that, a lot of agitators who have no investment in the issue at all, that are just simply there to be like, oh, I'm going to be the next Nick Shirley.
And you know, there were influencers and agitators there yesterday and the day before macing us.
Yeah, no, I heard Cam Higbee.
Yeah,
I saw the video.
I got sprayed in the face.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
But it's like spicy. It's like
here's the
Tabasco on your tongue.
Yeah, no, we've all been there. But what I'm saying is like, I do not understand how you can look at such a heinous wrong, like systematic violence being dished out to ordinary people, and your first reaction to it is, oh, I can't wait to go there and actually annoy and be a nuisance to good citizens who see right from wrong and want to demonstrate.
Well,
I find that ridiculous.
A significant amount of people in the conservative media have no morals.
Yeah, it's insane.
It's usually what it comes to.
Hey,
Do you mind if I get around?
That same thing over and over again.
Yeah.
Son, I just want to thank you. I got a 19-year-old son that's a gay partly because of you.
Hell yeah.
Engaged in politics.
Thank you for being here, man.
Debate lord.
Debate
Wait,
lord?
so something else?
Oh, yeah, we thought he was married.
No.
Nice to meet you, man. Thank you.
All right, see you.
See, we needed something like that, right?
Oh, there's most of the people are like that. It's just this
this is an environment where there is per capita a lot more fucking weirdos. And it's getting, like, in my experience, I've been to a lot of this stuff. It's getting worse too because like they feel emboldened by the government, and that's the reason why, like, Cam Higby, when he was allegedly pepper spraying the protesters, he like was able to run inside of the federal facility right after. So when you have that environment of like no accountability whatsoever or direct protection by the federal government, you get much more bold, knowing full well that you can just do whatever you want to do. And then in retaliation, when people say, what are you doing? Like, if they push back, if they defend themselves, they can just like escape into the arms of the Gestapo, basically.
Well, that's what happened yesterday.
Yeah, no, that's
they
what I'm talking
brought
about.
him inside to the
So
center.
this is why when we take the House, we need accountability. We need to have hearings about this and start pulling people up and actually administering real justice.
I think they're aware that accountability is coming. That's probably why it's like they're behaving in this increasingly erratic manner, because they recognize that once the situation changes within the Senate and the House of Representatives, and there's new investigations and new hurdles that Trump has to clear, where he's not left unaccountable, things are going to change dramatically, and they're trying to get their licks in right before that happens, it seems. But yeah, hopefully we'll be able to get a little bit of that justice, inshallah.
We will do it. We will
okay.
do it. 3 more days, guys.
You're gonna do drop side interview?
You have 3 more days?
Yeah.
I do. I have an election on Tuesday.
Celebration. All right. Shout out to Meg. If you're in Plainfield
City Council.
Plainfield City Council.
But once again, just all the importance going back to the detainees and their families. There's so many groups on the ground working. Cosecha Resistencia, Pax Christi, Action 21, DSA's out there. Just, we're trying to do the best to support the people that are in there and try and help in this hellhole that we have down in Newark.
Got it. Hell yeah. Do you want to do the interview now?
Yeah, but stand on this side so we don't have the backlight.
Okay. Yeah.
Adam, we have an interview for you as well. Wait. Adam? So tell me about this subpoena situation.
I don't know anything about the subpoena situation. The Fox News Digital guy was like, have you been served a subpoena? I'm like, you should know because you wrote that I was served a subpoena. I have not been. So I have no idea what's going on there. But I think the entire purpose of the subpoena is to create an environment of fear, to try and silence any sort of opposition to the federal government's actions, try to stop activism, to create a chilling effect on speech.
No, it's
that's what I think is going on. It's just lawfare.
Are you concerned at all?
I'm much more concerned about things that are happening inside of the Delaney facility, or the fact that a Cuban invasion is potentially imminent, the fact that there is a global energy crisis, than my own personal safety. I don't know. I get worried more so about what kind of precedent the administration is trying to set as far as targeting dissidents, as far as trying to silence the opposition to this government. So that's what I'm more so worried about than my own personal safety and security.
I mean, seemingly it's having the exact opposite effect and just bringing more attention to you.
Yeah, but not all attention is good, as you saw when we went over there. A lot more shitheads that are like, oh, I can gain clout off of this, which is really sad because this is a serious issue.
Tell me about, why you
Well, I was here to listen to the demands being made by the detainees and why they were striking. I wanted to see what kind of militarized police force is out there trying to silence the opposition to these actions. And I got a decent taste of it. I didn't get to see it as chaotic as normally it would be in all these other protests that we've been a part of. But yeah, I assume that the movement from here on out will probably continue growing as the government tries to engage in more repression. That's usually how it goes. More repression invites more response. So hopefully there will be some justice for the detainees inside of the Delaney facility.
Okay, and last thing, we're seeing, as you've said, the political insurgents really killing the game recently in primaries.
Yeah.
How has your experience joining their campaign trails been?
It's been hopeful, which is really interesting because things are very dark. But I've been working alongside campaigns and promoting certain candidates for a very long time. It's been a decade or so, and it's very rare that I actually find candidates that I trust or candidates that I really like, that I identify with their message. And this midterm season has been very different in my experience. There are DSA candidates all around the country that are running against do-nothing Democrats, running against centrists and corporate establishment Democrats to be the change that they want to see. And that gives me a little bit of hope. I'm glad that there are people who don't just sit around and say everything sucks, but they try to take matters in their own hands and try to change the system, albeit marginally.
Okay, actual last thing. So you have been asked today by said shitheads why you went to Cuba. I want to ask you the same question, but not in bad faith.
Yeah, no, I went to Cuba. I'll answer it in bad faith too. I went to Cuba to deliver humanitarian aid. I also got a journalism visa as well to see the impact of the American sanctions regime, and it was devastating. And I did both of those things. I made a mini doc about it on the sanctions. I interviewed activists, doctors, I interviewed other politicians, I interviewed the foreign vice minister of the Cuban government as well, to try to figure out like how much of the devastation in Cuba is the responsibility of the American sanctions and how much of it is the economic mismanagement of the government. And the reality of the matter is it is pretty lopsided and not in favor of the American government there. It's mostly the American government's 60-year-long embargo and the subsequent blockade that has destroyed its electricity grid. They're trying to electrify it to the best of their ability. They're just trying to survive. They're very resilient people. But seeing it in action, I couldn't believe it. There's so much potential being robbed of the world for no reason other than unnecessary cruelty. No problem.
Get a quick picture with you, her, and Adam.
Yeah.
And then she has to go back. These police are currently marching on protesters.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
Adam. Dr. H. Adam. Real quick.
Who I got in the finals? Oh, you don't want to hear me say it. When we out. All right. Okay.
And then I got a boogie.
That's my Malice King. Maoism was
I did that for you, bro.
Oh, hell yeah. You did it for the proletariat.
Alright, cool. Ready?
All right.
Ready, Freddie?
Yeah, let's do it. We're taking a photo.
Oh, okay. Out the Red Bull. Thank you.
That's up to him. Probably not lobby since that'll work faster, but if you can do go up to the room.
Of course. I will try.
Alright, thank you. If you got it. Hasan, would you be down to speak back at the room sitting down for an interview? Or
we could do that, but I was just gonna end it.
Oh, okay.
But we don't. I mean, we can. Yeah, that's fine.
It's up to you. Yeah.
Sure. Oh, there it is. Department of Corrections.
Militarized.
All right, it's gonna be.
We have a ride.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, we can go with that. I'm gonna give this back to you. I never used this.
Yeah, I thought you guys were staying longer.
I thought we were staying longer too, but then I felt like our presence there was not as productive as I would have liked it to be.
It may be the case.
As it usually goes.
No. Usually
it's
not like that.
They've been just swarming anyone who's showed up.
Yeah, this is one of those things where it's like it's just beginning. I feel like so the amount of protests there is like limited in number as opposed to like the amount of media. So then it turns into a little bit of a circus.
Adrenaline is really high.
Yeah,
especially this time of the day. Like it's like just.
Yeah, and then also a lot of opportunists. Oh my God.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Was shocking.
Well, they'll just start throwing things at people and then being like, "Oh, why are you angry that I attacked you?" Like, well, yeah.
Yep. Where do I go?
That red car right there.
Okay, let's move this one.
Good.
Let's see.
Gonna hide our vehicle.
All right, which way?
Thank you for everything. Would you like this back?
Thank you guys for coming.
Of course. Thank you so much.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Oh yeah.
Tim. I blame And I told Hasan this off stream too, but I'm gonna share it with you, chat, because you're my confidant. I was like, this motherfucker sits down in the hotel room, frame one, after telling me all day, we're not gonna tell anybody we're going to Delaney Hall, we're just gonna show up there, that way we don't attract any unwanted attention. Frame one is just like, yeah, we're gonna go to Delaney Hall later. I'm just like, god damn it. Too careless, too careless. I bet you at least 5 of those guys were not gonna be there until they heard on his stream.
What was that shit?
Saying that. It happens. But that was particularly bad because I guess he's just bigger also now. Not as productive as we would have liked, unfortunately, but kind of out of our hands. It's like we've done these so many times before. You guys have seen, and there have been times where like we get a bit too much attention on us, and we try to like stop that from happening. But I didn't show you guys. I didn't pan the camera to show you guys. But at one point, remember at the Zoran election party where there was that shot that I got of him with 100 fucking 100 fucking cameras, like crowding around Hasan. It was like that right now. I just didn't pan to it, but we were standing there and there was like at least 30 people with cameras and phones surrounding. I was like, this is not what we're here to do. Like, this is not the point of this. So, probably best if we GTFO.
I didn't realize I made an impression. I'm with HAMAWY. Thanks for shouting that out on stream.
Hell yeah. Nice to meet you, man.
Yeah.
We're ready for us.
Alright, let's go.
Alright, let's go.
Which one?
This one.
Red one? Alright, let's do it.
Yeah, I'm not. Come on. I'm a professional, Hasan. Bro instinctively covered the lens like I was going to show the license plate. Like it's goddamn rookie season.
Okay.
Okay.
That was something.
That was something.
Oh, we're...
Oh.
Where do you want him?
Maybe in the front seat?
Front seat, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's... That's crazy.
Yeah, but do not say it out loud. I won't. Or
Yeah, don't say where we're going.
But I will show you where we're going. Here, I'm just gonna show you, and then you can put it in your.
Yeah.
This one.
Should arrive in a Barney suit next time, incognito.
How uncomfortable would it be if I...
Oh, you can try it.
Yeah, you can
probably
squeeze in here.
You're tiny and wayfishly twink like me.
It's true.
Okay.
I just got done losing
My
30
car
pounds.
was about to be here too.
Hello.
I got some room right down here if you want.
Where?
Right down by my feet here.
Thanks, Adam. That's great. Oh my gosh. That was something.
That's where I had the cats before.
Okay, let's do it.
A little bit more, give you some more room.
Oh no, I'm good. You don't have to. My knees are fine.
I'm never gonna forget. You're joking. I open the door.
Yeah. That's pretty funny. Yeah, we're carpooling, chat. Not the New Jersey welcome he deserved. I mean, we didn't get to literally talk to people from New Jersey. Every single person that was there that was an agitator was outside of the state. They literally fly to places like this. People in the MAGA movement and you know, kick streamers and shit like that, they fly around just so they can get their licks in, you know, get a couple clips. It's a sad state of affairs, but what are you gonna do, you know?
What's sad is that we've seen, like, just in the last 24 hours, it go from an ICE problem, so now the state police is involved. We got Essex County, so you know, it would have been better off if they either stayed out or they come in and bring peace and say, listen guys, relax, rather than cause us more trouble.
Yeah.
Hi guys.
There was literally a guy yelling about the Twitch CEO's name. Like, they were yelling about Dan Clancy. It's like, dude, you're not a serious person. You're not a human being. Like, you're barely a fucking human being if you're doing that. In a situation like this, it's not like we're at a block party or something and you're ruining the vibes. You're doing this at, like, you're doing this, you know, 500 meters away from people being starved to death.
Yeah.
In concentration camp like conditions. Have some decency. It's hard, I know. It's hard to come by, but it is what it is.
It's also like the protesters are preventing the transferring of detainees, which, like, the legal system, filing a habeas corpus allows someone to have legal, like, have legal protection.
Oh, she needs the address.
Well, someone's.
We can't. I told them what to do already. They're supposed to follow my location.
Just tell him to follow us.
Just text it to her if you can.
And instead of like having due process, which like lots of people, especially the people that are getting picked up inside the courts, are just going through routine immigration appointments, and instead of having due process and access to legal representation, what happens is they're coerced into signing deportation orders that are meant to be confusing.
Yeah, when I was there last week, they were all given. This was when they transferred Martin Soto to the other facility. They said everyone was given a piece of paper and told to sign, and they didn't know what they were signing.
Right.
Yeah, just a blank. Well, not a blank piece of paper, but they weren't like given a translator or someone to tell them like what this was, and no attorneys present, but they're just told to sign it.
Yeah, and that's one of the strikers' demands right now is ending the coercion.
Potholes everywhere, bro. It's New Jersey, baby. I mean, actually, the roads here are nicer than California. I will.
Don't judge New Jersey by right here, okay? There's better parts of New Jersey.
Yeah.
Ready to do some pothole politics.
Yeah.
We do need to fix the roads, though.
You want to explain in chat what's what happened?
So we're gonna head back to the hotel, and we're just gonna do a. Oh my God! We're gonna do a sit down, if we can get there, honestly. Because I don't know if we are capable of getting there, but if we can get there.
All of New York's tax money is going to give no property taxes in this Amazon warehouse and not fix the roads.
But if we're gonna get back to the hotel, we're gonna do a sit-down interview and talk a little bit more about what's going on in this facility in a less chaotic environment. You know, that's what we're doing. Where your tax dollars aren't going, potholes. Yeah. Oh.
So Dr. H, 3 days out. What can people do?
What can people do? Go out and vote. Get your neighbors out.
And what can they do all across the country? They can make
phone calls. We got phone banking. So if you want to help out in these last few days, again, you could do it from your home on your phone. Just go to our website, HAMAWY4NJ.com, and sign up for one of our phone banking sessions. And it doesn't matter where you are, you can help. Let voters know that what we're running for, what we stand for, that we can actually make a difference, and we only make that difference when we get out and participate.
And remember, if you live in Philadelphia or New York, you can be in this district on a beautiful underfunded commuter rail in like an hour. So come and canvass.
If it's running on time, yes.
It did just light on fire.
Jesus.
Penn Station for the second time in the last 3 weeks.
There's mic static apparently. I don't know why. If you want to retool it.
It's definitely the AC.
Is that better?
Oh, maybe. I mean, it's probably good that we have the AC on, because I was very cold initially, and now I'm hot. Oh my God! What shocked me was the ultras. That is usually not an expected sight. That was weird. What? Ultras? Don't worry about it. Don't. It's just people who are like, you support the Democrats. You know. IRL Ultras are a rare sight? No. IRL Ultras are not a rare sight. IRL Ultras will go to protest, but they won't ever, they won't ever take advantage of a protest to to do shit like that. Usually they're much more, they're much more aware. I wouldn't have expected an Ultra to behave like a Fed, like a Cam Higbee type,
Cam Higbee got his phone smashed yesterday at Delaney.
Oh, I disavow.
You want maybe swap over or change?
All right, sure. I'll hit the BRB screen.
Okay. A lot where people from New York will come down and they, especially in presidential election years, a lot of New York college kids will come to Pennsylvania to go and knock doors and tell people who to vote for in the area. And that does kind of consolidate people. If all these outsiders are telling me who's good for me. So there's a little bit of that mix in there as well. And so where you turn that good versus the mix in there. But the secondary part of this is then moving to Pennsylvania 3 on the progressive side. those same things come up when it comes to these numbers. We had Chris Rabb. It was a three-way fight over here. Chris Rabb for Progressives, DSA, Working Family Parties. Sharif Street, who is the son of a former Philadelphia mayor, and former head of the Pennsylvania State Democratic Party. And Alice Stanford, who was endorsed by the congressman who was leaving that seat, and also arguably had AIPAC money that was being funneled through a different PAC towards her. Being in this area, I only saw ads for Stanford. Stanford was, every time I went to the diner, I don't see a lot of TV ads, but literally every time I went to a Pennsylvania diner, Stanford was all encompassing on there. And when you get down to the final vote here, Rabb getting 44.2% of the vote, Street with 29.5%, and Stanford with 24.1%. Stanford's is almost completely made up of the ad spend and the push on that side. Sharif is from the Democratic machine system because he has big backing of the current Philadelphia mayor, and he knows the ward system in Philly where you have like street captains and block captains. You kind of, you have to win over, and then they turn out union people, etc. And then Rob got everybody else. And everybody else is college students, and then people that lived in South Philly and Northwest Philly, which are more people that have floated in and out of the city. Northwest is going to be more people with younger families, and then the other area in between, you see the splitting of the black vote between the white vote on either side of it. And that mix in there, it speaks to the difference on how the different social media teams worked and also how they campaign. Rob did a lot more in-person events. Rob did a lot more pushing for people to knock doors. Rob brought in Hasan, but he also brought in other content creators from the area. Hasan was one of the few nationals that came in because you can't really nationalize a Philadelphia election. It really is that party machine. And so that difference in there, AIPAC got brought up, but what that did was that split the centrist vote. That split the more establishment on that side. And so I think Massey would have survived if there had been another, quote, like Trump establishment guy that ran against him, because he had pretty close numbers to what Rabb had.
Yeah, I find myself often leaning towards the more progressive candidates in these primaries, just because I think a lot of people are craving something new. But even looking at this, I don't know. I'd be interested in your thoughts on of having to get more than 50% of the vote just as a concept, because whenever I see these races, and I think more so primaries, because there's a few that like the anti-Trumpers have won, where it's a general election and they have like 35% of the vote, and they were able to get through because MAGA split the vote, right? I think is it the mayor of Miami that I'm thinking of right now, I think?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Something like that. But even seeing Rabb with 44% and then you talking about the more centrist votes getting split, I'm like, how are we not at a place where, at least for primaries, that we're not doing ranked choice? Yeah, thank you. Yeah, like ranked choice voting, where we're thinking of what's the strongest foot forward. Because like Rabb could have easily carried it as like a number 2, and we saw like what happened and how the race ran with Mamdani in New York during the primary. I think it's just it's smart politics, but we're not seeing it play out. But I've also seen counter arguments that in Georgia, voting can feel exhausting because people are voting multiple times for the same races. So I don't know. I've heard different arguments. I just think ranked choice makes the most sense on paper.
I don't love runoffs, because runoffs actually are, especially in Georgia, are based on racism. Like the history of it in the background of like the reason why these keep happening is for that exact reason you're talking about, and also to if the vote got split between.
I think that's what I'm saying though, is if we're not going to do runoffs, I think ranked choice has to be the way.
I like ranked choice the most, especially for primaries, because it helps form coalitions.
Yeah.
The reason why Mamdani's win was so important in New York is because he formed a coalition with Brad Lander and so many other of the candidates who were out there, so they could form a coalition against Cuomo. In this case, there was not a coalition between Street and Stanford. They both were fighting for the same vote. Rabb was able to get more. This is also in PA3. This is, I've heard it now said, it's the bluest district in America. It is Republicans don't even run here. I don't know if you've ever been to West Philadelphia. It is bluer than you could ever imagine. In fact, if you go to West Philadelphia, like Kamala Harris is a conservative there. Like there's like, it's like crazy when you get into some of the areas here. But when you're looking at these things, like you would also have more people enter in the idea of ranked choice. You have more people wanting to enter because you don't end up being a spoiler for other candidates because you can do coalitions.
Right.
And then you can say, okay, if you're going to vote me for one, but vote him for two because he's the next closest. And I love ranked choice. Ranked choice is what got us, it was a win. It was a congressional win in Alaska. Ranked choice also pushes back on the wings of the party. Ranked choice because you end up with an all or nothing in all of these parties, and you can kind of find a better spread. I don't like jungle primaries, which is what we're seeing in California. Jungle primaries is where everyone runs kind of unlisted, even though you know who everybody is. And then the top two go into basically a runoff for the general. I think that's shit, and I think that's stupid because, again, it's trying to break the parties while actually also leaning even further into one-party rule. I love the idea of ranked choice. And
all right, we're back.
The thing I will say,
we're back, and no, I'm gonna sit there. You sit here. It'll be fine. But we are. Microphone is gonna be on, and the camera's gonna be on in a second. I mean, this is not the best, but what are you gonna do?
I saw people.
Okay. Maybe I can sit on it.
Do you have another room? Is there like a chair we could pull up from somewhere else?
No, I'll just sit on pillows. So it's like, boom. There it is.
Go.
Look at that.
Good.
It worked out. Okay. Did you visit any strip malls favorites? No, that's not it. That's not. So the mic that you have on is what we're going to be using once. Is you connected? Okay. Wait. The microphone is not connected. Oh, it's not. Oh, it's picking up now. Okay, we're good.
It's really loud though. Okay.
We're good now. No, it's fine. But it's on. It's not mono. It's not mono, and normally it's mono. I don't know why.
Well, let me check how it sounds for a shot. Wait, give me 1 second. Let me change the camera.
Yeah. You sound underwater. What? Left ear only.
Yeah. Go to the audio source here. And go to the browser. Or click on right click it.
Wait, this is not normal. There's
just right click. And then go to properties.
I know, but this is
sorry, not properties.
This is not advanced properties,
yeah,
but this is not normal or filters. No.
It's advanced audio properties.
Wait, why can't I? Where? No.
I can reconnect it 1 second.
Yeah, we're gonna fix it. Hold on, chat. Oh God, everyone is complaining.
Go back to the Shure SM7B right now.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll just keep using the Shure SM7B for now, and then eventually we're gonna fix it. Hold on. None pizza left audio. What does that even mean? Okay. 480p camera. I know. Oh, are you gonna give us the other mic? Oh, okay. Sounds good. Yeah. Well, it's not working. It's just the microphone. This is what we're using, but I'm gonna swap it to our button mics. So these clip-on mics have always been a bit below par, and Haas needs to know that. Okay, calm down. No, it's not Austin Ox. It's someone else in the chat. Everyone is a backseat producer. Heard it work for a second when he unplugged? No, he didn't. Hold on, let's see. No, it's still. What the hell? Why is it fucking not? Huh. I think maybe it's not a Unify thing. I think it's a camera setting thing. Yeah, I think that's what's going on. Yeah. Okay. Because I just checked it. I'm looking at it, and it's doing different sounds from different ears. Tech support, not your producer, dude. Yeah. What happened? What did you guys hear loud audio or something? Worked for a bit? No, it didn't. I'm turning on and off the audio level so you can hear it. Hello. Oh, it's fixed. Wait, what did you do?
Just go to.
It's good. What was it? It's good now.
I click the button on the button.
Okay, that's what happened. All right, so I was right. Something did change. Okay, if you put it back, and then I will. Okay. Can I turn on the camera?
Do it. Yeah.
Boom. There we go. There it is.
Too quiet or too dark? Oh, I'm turned up a little bit.
What is turned up? No, audio's fine.
No. Wait.
Oh, no, that's fine too. It looks fine.
Oh.
It's also, yeah. All right, Dr. Adam HaMAWY.
Yes.
Thank you for standing with us.
Yeah. thank you for participating in this process. It's there's always issues on live production. It happens, but we went to the Delaney facility. You've been there already.
I've been there a few times.
And how has the environment changed a little bit in your experience? Like, are there more people? Are there less people? Is there more? I feel like there's a lot of attention being paid to the story now, more so than before, as I guess the hunger strike worsens. Are there more people coming out now?
So there's more people, but I'm also seeing more agitators.
Yeah.
Today, it wasn't like, last week there was really just protesters there standing in solidarity with the detainees. But here, there was just a lot more people going and confronting them and causing problems and making the situation worse.
Yeah. It's unfortunate, but I think when people don't understand the stakes, in my experience at least, when people don't understand the stakes of what is unfolding, or when they're so cynical that they don't even care about the inhumanity that's like taking shape 500 meters away from them, they just see this as a leg up, an opportunity to make a mark.
Right, and we saw that when we got there. I mean, I think we actually helped the protesters because we drew away this crowd of agitators away from them, and they got to protest in peace for a while, while they focused their attention on us.
It happens, but ultimately, what we were there to do is like showcase we'll try to get a better understanding of what's exactly going on. So, as someone running for Congress, what is your suggestion in terms of curbing back some of this stuff, whether it be ICE violence in general towards protesters exercising their First Amendment rights, or even accountability dies?
So, I mean, I've been running from the beginning that we need to abolish ICE, and this is a perfect example why. To have these for-profit detention centers that really are violating people's human rights, violating civil rights, really violating our Constitution by holding them in there without any, accused crime for prolonged periods of time. Cruel and unusual punishment inside with food that has spoiled and worms coming out of it. They don't have proper medical attention, so we all heard about a woman that just had a miscarriage in there this week.
Yeah.
And there's diabetics. I heard of a paraplegic that was inside. They took away his wheelchair, took away his crutches. They said the crutches were weapons that could be used, and so he's in there, can't move, and basically in solitary confinement because they can't keep him in another facility.
What is that like the type of government overreach that we're seeing here, and the systematized version of violence? Does that remind you at all of some of the experiences that you had working in conflict zones, and the way that an occupying force would operate against what they declare as an enemy force?
Well, this is again an increasing, presence of fascism in this country, right? You call a state of an emergency, and that state of emergency then gives you an excuse to do whatever you want. And we've seen this play out in so many dictatorships, and this is exactly what Trump is doing. You call this immigration emergency, which it wasn't an emergency. We don't have these criminals roaming the streets like he claims there are.
Yeah.
These are just our neighbors.
Well, there are criminals. There
are criminals.
They're in D.C.
Yeah.
But yeah, go on. Sorry.
Yeah. So that state of emergency gives you an excuse, not a good one, but an excuse to do whatever you want. And this is what we're seeing right now. And this is a federal facility. I mean, the fact that we can't get federal oversight in there is again, why is that the fact? We have members of Congress that have tried to get in, that they aren't allowed to go in. The conditions we're told are horrible, and they say, if they disagree, then why aren't you letting anyone inside to take a look? I mean, this is, again, the same thing that these dictatorships have been doing, and for centuries all over the world. We see this, throughout the Middle East. We see this going on in Israel, and we are now taking that and putting it here in our country, and it's existed at a low level before under the waves, but now it's in broad daylight, and we are allowing it to happen.
Yeah, it's Well, this is a question I asked you already, but do you support the organized movements that people are engaging in, like the organized action that people are engaging in, as far as like identifying when ICE Watch, identifying when ICE agents are in their neighborhoods, and even demonstrations such as this one?
I do. I mean, if it's a peaceful protest, peaceful demonstration, and if communities are organizing to help their neighbors. This is what happened in Nazi Germany, right? Like in Nazi Germany, people were organizing to help the Jewish community to be able to hide, right? And to protect them. And unfortunately, we are doing it now in this country to help, our undocumented, brothers and sisters. And it's not just undocumented. They are attacking documented immigrants. They're attacking U.S. citizens as well. So when we allow one group of people to be attacked, it's just a matter of time before it expands to everyone.
Yeah, absolutely. As far as what the actions of the state, like let's say you have a magic wand, like what would you do? You're Governor Mickey Sherrill. Like, what are some of the actions that she could be taking in this situation, and how would you rate her response so far? I know this is a little,
Yeah, I mean,
it's a tough question.
It's a tough question, but I think it's so important to be on the ground. It's so easy to get information that is limited when you're just listening to one source. And from my experience, traveling all over the world, going to war zones, going to disaster zones, the story is always different when you are actually there. You know, the media can only give you so much information, and whatever report you have from whoever it is, it's always coming from one point of view. So, as a leader, I think you should be on the ground. You should try to get access. Again, this is a federal facility, so she's limited to that, but this is when we should be able to have our, our senators and representatives to be able to get access in there as well. And they need to work together.
Yeah, and I think senators and congresspersons could potentially demand access with the governor as well, which is what I think they've tried to do that. But instead of doing that, it seems like the governor has instead decided to cooperate with ICE in some capacity. And I know it's a situation that is chaotic, and you don't want more dangerous things to take place. You don't want people fighting one another. But my suggestion always is to make sure that the local law enforcement is there to actually protect the constituents, rather than side with the federal government and side with the federal agencies.
Right. I think they should be a buffer. I mean, it's one thing when you go in there and you see them facing one direction against a crowd.
Yeah.
Versus you're standing in both directions and separate. They were facing just a crowd. So that gives an impression right there, rather than going in as a peace force or a buffer zone to try to de-escalate. And then you go in there and you're working against, against both sides or with both sides to tell everyone to stand down. And it's just, the demeanor, the stance, that impression makes a huge difference.
Yeah. What are some of the things that you want to do in terms of accountability to ICE?
So I think the first thing we need to do is start holding hearings, exactly what is happening. When we take control over Congress, we're going to hold hearings of ICE. We want to hold hearings with the administration. Congress formed ICE. They did this back in 2003, and they have the ability to disband ICE as well. So, but not just hold hearings, but then you have accountability. So we have crimes that are being committed in front of our eyes every day, and unfortunately, they're not getting prosecuted the way they should, and people are let go for crimes that are being committed. So we need a Department of Justice that actually administers real justice. And that might take a while for another administration to get passed, but at least we could start the process.
I feel like without that kind of accountability, without that kind of justice, people start losing sight of participating in organized democracy and recognizing that the systems are actually the system is actually intact and will still serve the interests of the population. When people lose confidence in that, I feel like chaos unfolds. And that's a much more devastating predicament that I don't think many people are thinking about at all. And certainly not this government. Or maybe this administration is actually banking on that happening so they can engage in even more rigid enforcement and more repression and state violence.
Right. It's almost like you're instigating it, you know.
Yeah.
And then when people are upset and they rise up and that chaos happens, then it gives you more excuse to push down.
Yeah, I will say, however, my experience in Minneapolis actually gave me a lot of confidence that this administration is still a paper tiger at the end of the day. I mean, they still need a popular mandate, and they know that they don't have it, because if they did, if they truly had a popular mandate, if they actually were, if their actions were genuinely popular, and the masses were backing them, then they wouldn't feel the need to subvert the democratic process as aggressively as they're entertaining. One of the things that they're trying to do is potentially even deploy ICE agents and at polling stations.
That's what I heard as well.
In the midterms, is this? What do you think about that?
Well, again, they are afraid of real democracy, because with real democracy they lose.
Yeah.
So deploying ICE agents, you know, the gerrymandering that they've been doing all over the country to change the vote count, and then, you know, repealing like laws or turning over rulings that have been around for decades, really all just before the midterms, to try to hold back the tide that they see is coming up against them. And if we don't all come out together, then we're not going to have a democracy. Because the only way that we fight this is to come out en masse, that everyone actually gets out to the polls, because they can't stop people when they come in waves. But when you have small groups coming in and you have ICE agents, it's a form of intimidation.
Yeah. Well, in the interim, I think coming out in waves and demonstrating is also very important as well, because I feel like there's no accountability whatsoever, or there's not even a reflection on whether certain actions the government's taking are popular or not. In the absence of any sort of counter demonstration, in the absence of any sort of demonstration at all. So it is still very important to go out there and show up and protest against these sorts of actions.
It's crazy that in a democracy where people are, you know, when you're listening to the voice of the people, you have a certain group actually suppressing that voice. And it's clear that, you know, the freedoms that they say that they want to defend, the freedoms that really are supposed to be what makes up this country and that they say that people hate us for, are exactly what they're fighting against. They're fighting against these freedoms.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much for taking the time out, and thanks so much for coming down here as well, and participating in this alongside us. It was, you know, it was a little bit chaotic, but I feel like we got to see it, and
we got to see it, and we got other people to see it as well. I think that's important, because it's not getting the coverage that it needs.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Adam. What can people do? I mean, we don't have much time left.
Yeah.
This is 3 days, right?
We got 3 days, okay? So you could really vote tomorrow, and then you could vote on Tuesday, okay? So Sunday, the polls are open early. If you live in New Jersey, please get out to vote. And then Monday's off, like the polls are closed, and then Tuesday is primary day. Please go out to vote. You can make a difference. Tell your friends, tell your neighbors. If you're in town or around the area, anywhere close by, please come out and canvass. We're canvassing all 3 days, tomorrow, Monday, and Tuesday. And if you're not around the area, you could also help us by phone banking. And if you phone bank, just go to my website, HAMAWY4NJ.com, and then you could find and just sign up there. We'll tell you our canvassing, we'll tell you our phone banking, and we'll be calling people all till Tuesday night to get them out to vote, so that we could get some. We'll be calling people all till Tuesday night to get them out to vote, so that we could get someone like me into Congress, so that we could abolish ICE and we could get this country back on track.
Last question. Who do you have on Game 7? Spurs versus OKC Thunder?
I'll go with the Spurs.
Okay. All right. That's the right answer in my opinion, but all right. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.